My name is Kyle. I'm 23, and I was working as a food delivery guy. That day, I arrived at an apartment complex with an order, a bag of snail noodles from a beef noodle shop, of all things. The customer, some rude woman, called and told me to bring it up to the 33rd floor. She gave me 5 minutes, or she'd file a complaint. The power was out, so no elevator. I wasn't about to climb 33 floors for someone that nasty, so I headed to the security booth to leave the food there. Then, while I was holding that stinky bag of noodles, my vision went blurry and I collapsed. When I woke up, I was lying on cold ground. A robotic voice welcomed me to something called the Global Fog Survival Game. It said 8 billion people were taking part, each one placed 500 kilometers apart. The rules were simple: gather resources, build a shelter, and survive. Fog covers everything at night, and it slowly kills you if you're not inside a shelter. And in 4 days, the first disaster would hit. Storms, acid rain, monster attacks, you name it. I opened my system panel. It showed my level 1, my rank, iron, and my talent, luck. The description said, believe that good things will always happen. I also had a small black cube called living soil, the key item for building a shelter. Without it, no shelter. Without a shelter, you die. There was also an iron axe and a starter gift box. I opened the gift box. It was supposed to give 2 loaves of bread and 2 bottles of water, but I got double, 4 of each. My luck talent was already paying off. I checked the social chat channel. It was chaos. One guy said he fainted while eating watermelon under his AC. Some woman said she passed out after getting angry at a stupid delivery driver. Pretty sure that was my customer. People were scared, confused, bragging about their talents. One guy got Kidney King as a talent and had no idea what to do with it in a survival world. Someone with a strength boost was happily chopping trees. Me? I figured luck is the kind of talent that only a main character gets. I've read enough novels to know that. Time to start building. I wasn't sure how much I believed in my luck talent. Back in the real world, I'd never won a single scratch-off lottery ticket. But there was no time to think about that. I needed to build a shelter. The fog limited my visibility to about 100 meters. Tall weeds everywhere. I gripped my axe and started cutting a path, looking for a good spot. I couldn't predict what kind of disaster was coming in 4 days, so I just tried to think practically. After exploring a few hundred meters in every direction, I found a low, flat-topped hill, only about a meter above ground level. A few hundred square meters of space, mostly rocky with just 3 small trees and some bushes. Plenty of loose stones nearby too. The only downside, no water source. Still, it was the best I could ask for. I cleared the brush and weeds, which left me drenched in sweat. Then I went after one of those 3 small trees. I swung hard and nearly broke my wrist. The thing was called a steel iron tree, 20 years old, hard as metal. Apparently animals use them to sharpen their teeth. I checked for bite marks. None. Good. I'd leave those alone for now. I found regular trees nearby. Even those took about 100 swings each to bring down. 20 minutes of non-stop chopping for 1 tree, and the system gave me 2 experience points. At that rate, I need to chop nearly 50 trees just to reach level 2. My back was screaming. At least the system had a handy feature. When a tree fell, I could decompose it into neat bundles of lumber. 1 tree gave me 8 pieces of wood. I needed 20, so 3 more trees would do it. After chopping 3 trees total, I had 22 pieces of wood and 5 experience points. Bigger trees gave more of both. Unfortunately, my luck talent didn't trigger once during all this. Disappointing. Then came hauling everything up the hill, the wood, then the stones. That took over an hour and nearly killed me. Finally, I placed the living soil and confirmed the build. A rumble, a puff of white smoke, and 10 seconds later, a small cabin stood in front of me. Stone base, triangular wooden roof, about 2.5 meters tall and 10 square meters inside. Bare and empty, but the living soil sat on the floor glowing with a soft white light. It felt warm. The shelter was level 1, enough to block small animals and keep out rain and wind. The system also unlocked the trading channel. I checked it right away, but barely anyone had built shelters yet. The few trade posts were all people trying to swap building materials for food. Nobody was selling anything I needed. My stomach growled. It was already 12:36. I ate 1 bread loaf and half a bottle of water, then grabbed my axe and headed back out. I had to find food and water before things got desperate. I searched carefully within 500 meters of my shelter. I spotted a rabbit but couldn't catch it. No chance I was outrunning that thing in my current state. I didn't dare go much further. Running into a large predator out here would be a death sentence. But staying safe wouldn't keep me alive either. I gritted my teeth and pushed forward into unknown territory. I kept exploring, pushing about 300 meters further out. That's when I spotted it. A tree loaded with fist-sized green fruits. I rushed over, picked one, and checked its info. Wild apple, non-toxic, quenches thirst, fills hunger. I bit into it. Sour and rough, not great flavor, but juicy. Good enough. I stripped that tree bare, 400 fruits total. I couldn't believe one tree could hold that many. I got 20 experience points too, 1 point for every 20 fruits picked. Way easier than chopping trees. What I didn't notice were a few fruit cores already lying on the ground. Something else had been eating here before me. I found some giant leaf plants nearby and used them to wrap the fruits into bundles. It took over an hour and multiple trips to haul everything back to my shelter. The grass and bushes scratched up my arms and legs, and the mosquitoes were eating me alive. I was sticky, itchy, and miserable. All I wanted was a bath. After a short rest, I headed out in a new direction. Nothing useful, just trees, grass, rocks. Some birds flew overhead, chirping like they were mocking me. I switched directions again, and this time I heard the sound of running water. I followed it to the edge of a small cliff and found a quiet little pond fed by a tiny waterfall. The water was crystal clear, maybe a meter deep. I checked for danger, stripped off my shirt, and washed up. It felt incredible. I caught some water from the waterfall in my mouth, sweet, clean mountain spring water. But then reality hit me. A water source means animals come here to drink. Small ones, fine. A big predator? That would be the end of me. I checked for tracks or signs of beasts. Nothing on the rocky ground. Still, I wasn't taking chances. I drank as much as I could and hurried back. I didn't even have a container to carry water in. Back at the shelter, it was 3:26 p.m. I'd explored roughly 1,000 meters in every direction. That seemed to be the limit of how far the living soil could push back the fog. Beyond that, visibility dropped to almost nothing. I rested, then headed out to the one direction I hadn't checked yet. Right. About 700 meters in, I heard animal screams, vicious, painful ones. I dropped into a crouch instantly. About 50 meters ahead, at the base of a slope, two beasts were tearing each other apart. One looked like a wolf. The other was gray with a single horn on its head, something I'd never seen before. Both were roughly wolf-sized. I didn't dare breathe. I gripped my axe and stayed low in the tall grass. Going back now would probably get me spotted. So I just waited, silently praying to every god I could think of. Half an hour passed. The screaming faded. I peeked up and saw both animals lying still on the ground, locked together. One had its jaws clamped on the other's neck. I still didn't move. Mosquitoes swarmed me in the grass. I didn't scratch, didn't make a sound. Another hour crawled by. It was 5:25 p.m. Only 35 minutes until nightfall at 6 o'clock. After dark, the fog gets deadly. I was trapped. If I stood up and the wolf was still alive, I was done. If I stayed, darkness would get me instead. I made my choice. Screw it. I'm going. I stood up, gripped the axe with both hands, and walked toward them. My heart was pounding so hard I could barely breathe. 3 meters. 2 meters. I could see them clearly now. The wolf's belly was ripped wide open, guts spilling out. It was still biting down on the horned beast's neck. The system showed me their info. Both were bronze rank, level 10. The horned dog was dead. The wolf was near death, not dead. I didn't hesitate. I swung the axe at the wolf's head as hard and fast as I could. I kept swinging, over and over, gasping for air, until the head was completely destroyed. Only then did I stop. The system chimed in. Congratulations. Killed a level 10 bronze wild wolf. Experience, 2,500. Reward, wooden bucket blueprint. Then another prompt appeared. Beast body detected. Decompose. I decomposed both beasts immediately. From the wolf, I got 6 pieces of meat, 1 pelt, and 2 fangs, all green quality. From the horned dog, 7 pieces of meat, 1 pelt, 1 horn, and 2 fangs. The guts were left behind on the ground. The system didn't bother with those. I was wrapping everything in the wolf pelt when a prompt popped up. Salt mine detected. Collect. I looked around. The hillside where the two beasts had been fighting was covered in white crystals. A massive exposed salt deposit, roughly 200 cubic meters above ground, and who knows how much more underground. I chipped off 2 chunks with my axe, stuffed them in the pelt, and checked the time. 5:52 p.m. 8 minutes to nightfall. I ran. The path back was easier since I'd cleared the brush earlier, but I was hauling a heavy bundle of meat and salt. I burst through the shelter door at 5:59. 1 minute to spare. Outside, darkness swallowed everything. The temperature dropped fast, down to 8 degrees. I opened my stats. I had 2,525 experience points sitting there. I turned on auto level up and watched the notifications roll in. Level 2, Level 3, Level 4, Level 5. Cost me 2,200 experience total, with 325 left over. Each level after 3 required double the experience of the one before. If that pattern continued, leveling up later would be insane. But I slapped myself on the head. No point worrying about the future right now. I felt noticeably stronger. I could probably chop several trees without getting tired now. I checked my loot. Both types of meat boosted fullness and gave small strength and constitution bonuses, even better if cooked with other ingredients. The pelts had good insulation and could be used to make leather armor. The fangs and horn were materials for weapons or accessories. The wooden bucket blueprint only needed 1 unit of wood. That solved my water container problem. But the salt was trickier. The description said it couldn't be used raw and needed refining, with no instructions on how. I'd have to figure that out myself. Then I realized another problem. I had no fire. I couldn't cook any of this meat. I couldn't eat it raw. I opened the trading channel to see what people had. It was busier now. Some notable posts. 1 wood for 1 bottle of water, anyone. Posted by Derek. Someone replied calling him an idiot. Trading stone for wood, 1 to 1. I've got tons of rock, but barely any trees. Posted by Blade. Iron pot blueprint. Only trading for things I need. Message me directly. Posted by Dana. Bicycle blueprint for resources. Name your price. Only 1 on the whole server. Posted by Marcus. People were losing their minds in the replies. He said he found it in a treasure chest. Selling iron ore, will trade for anything. DM me. Posted by Felix. I've got a huge freshwater supply. Come talk deals. Bulk discounts. Posted by Sam. I scrolled through more trade posts. One guy named Connor was selling a spare down jacket. He'd been wearing 2 when he got transported here because it's always -20 where he lives. Another guy, Jake, was selling lighters. He had 8 of them. I zeroed in on what I needed most. Dana's iron pot blueprint, Jake's lighters, and Felix's iron ore. I started messaging them. Dana replied after about 5 minutes. She wanted food. I sent her info on my wild apples and salt ore. She called me right away, sweet voice, straight to business. We settled on 10 apples and 1 salt chunk for the iron pot blueprint. Before hanging up, I asked if she knew how to refine raw salt or into edible salt. She laughed and said she did, for 5 more apples. Done deal. She taught me the method. We added each other as friends and hung up. I traded 20 apples to Felix for 10 pieces of iron ore. His shelter was surrounded by iron deposits, so I made sure to stay friendly with him. Iron is a strategic resource. You need it to make almost everything. Having a supplier like that early on could be a game changer. The down jacket? Connor wanted way too much. I had beast pelts that worked just as well, so I passed. The lighter cost me 10 apples from Jake. Felt overpriced for a disposable item, but I needed fire now, not later. I was secretly jealous of Felix sitting on an iron mine, but then I reminded myself, I had a salt mine. People didn't realize how important salt was yet. Once they started sweating through days of chopping trees and hauling rocks, they'd come begging. I'd make a killing. The thought made me grin so wide I couldn't stop. With the iron pot blueprint and a lighter secured, I finally relaxed. I spread 1 beast pelt on the floor, pulled the other over me like a blanket, and lay down. It felt amazing after a full day of backbreaking work. I opened the world chat to kill time. It was a mess. People panicking because they hadn't finished their shelters. One guy said he could see glowing red eyes watching him in the dark. Another refused to believe any of it was real, swearing he'd sue for 10 billion when he got back. Some genius bragged about digging a hole and burying himself in it with just his head sticking out, covered in grass, called himself a genius. A CEO was offering $50 million to anyone who could rescue him. Someone pointed out that money was useless here. One woman offered to video call and show something nice in exchange for food. I kept scrolling. Most of it was useless. People crying for help, searching for loved ones. I didn't have anyone to search for. I grew up in an orphanage, dropped out before finishing college, worked dead-end delivery jobs. No real friends. A lone wolf in every sense. I searched the trade channel for blueprints. Almost nothing on day one. A bed blueprint was listed at 200 units of wood. Insane. Nobody was selling a level 2 shelter blueprint. I'd have to find one myself tomorrow. I planned out the next day, mine more salt, refine it, sell it. Sell water too. Use the profits to trade for wood and stone, so I wouldn't have to break my back hauling it myself. The night was quiet. My eyelids got heavier and heavier. I drifted off. Then, in the dead of night, creak, creak, creak. The sound of something grinding its teeth right outside my shelter. I snapped awake instantly, heart pounding. The grinding stopped. But then came footsteps, getting closer. Cold sweat dripped down my forehead. Whatever it was heading straight for me. I held my breath all night, pressing my body against the door. Through a crack I could see a blurry shape. Wolf-like, maybe. It sniffed at the door, but didn't attack. Instead, it just lay down right against it and fell asleep. I could hear it snoring. I didn't sleep a single second. By 7:55 a.m., I looked like a panda, dark circles, shaking from exhaustion and nerves. The thing outside was still snoring like it owned the place. By 8:25, I'd had enough. Staying trapped would kill me just as surely as a beast would. I gripped my axe, steeled myself, and slowly cracked the door open. It was a golden retriever. A big, fluffy, tail-wagging golden retriever. Level 22, silver rank. The system described it as a mutated canine, gentle with humans, loves wild apples, but goes berserk around other beasts. Wild apples. I'd stolen its entire food supply yesterday. No wonder it camped outside my door all night. The second I opened up, it shoved past me into the shelter and started devouring my apples. It even spit out the seeds. In 10 minutes it ate about 20, and I didn't have many left after yesterday's trades. It hurt to watch, but at level 22 it could crush me easily, so I just stood there. Then I had an idea. A level 22 silver rank companion in a world full of deadly beasts? That's a jackpot. Plus, I was lonely. Sometimes a dog is more reliable than a person. How about you stick with me? I said. I'll keep you fed, fruit and meat. If you agree, just keep eating. It kept eating. Great, that means yes. I'll call you buddy. Woof, one bark. Deal sealed. I got to work on my plan. First, I used the iron, ore, and blueprints to craft 2 iron pots. I only had 2 units of wood left, so I made 2 wooden buckets. Then I posted a trade. 1 wild apple for 2 units of wood. Fair price. Food was scarce. Wood was just labor. Within minutes, I'd traded 20 apples for 40 units of wood. I discovered something useful. Traded items could be stored in a special trade space, where they stayed compressed to palm size and food didn't spoil. You could only store items obtained through trading, though. I tried to exploit the loophole, but no luck. I made 10 more buckets and headed to the waterfall with Buddy to fill them. Being level 5 now, I could carry 2 buckets at a time without getting tired. Buddy grabbed a bucket in his mouth and helped carry. Best investment I ever made. Those apples were paying dividends. Water problem solved. Next, salt. I made 10 more buckets, went to the salt deposit, chipped off chunks with my axe, and hauled it all back. 10 full buckets of raw salt ore. Then I followed Dana's refining method. Crush the ore, boil it in the iron pots, filter out the solid junk, then heat the salt water until it evaporates down to crude salt. I built a simple stone stove, ran both pots at once, and made a grass filter. By 12:22 p.m., I'd processed 5 buckets. 60 portions of crude salt total, about 12 per bucket. Not bad at all. Now it was time to cook some of that beast meat from yesterday. I cut the meat into chunks, skewered them on sticks, each one about a meter long, bigger than any kebab back home. 1 wolf meat skewer, 1 horn dog skewer. I saved the remaining 8 pieces to salt and dry later since I had no way to keep them fresh. The meat started sizzling and dripping fat. I sprinkled crude salt on top. The smell was incredible. Buddy came running over immediately, drooling everywhere. When it was done, I took a bite. Crispy outside, juicy inside, delicious. I shared some with Buddy, who didn't even wait for it to cool down. After eating, I felt warmth spreading through my body and my energy came back. Green quality meat was no joke. Feeling smug, I posted a picture of my barbecue to the world chat. People lost it. Some were impressed. Some were furious. One guy said he'd been eating grass all day. Another called me every name in the book. But a few sharp-eyed people noticed the white stuff next to the meat. Is that salt? My inbox exploded with friend requests and messages. One woman offered to send me special photos for some meat. I ignored that immediately. The serious buyers wanted salt. I set my price, 1 unit of salt for 25 units of wood or stone. I'd calculated it carefully. 1 unit was about 100 grams, enough for one person for a month. 25 units of wood meant chopping 4 trees. Half a day's work for most people. Fair deal, maybe even cheap. 6 people agreed. Some others tried to lowball me. One idiot offered 1 wood for 1 salt, and when I said no, he started guilt-tripping me. We're all humans. How can you be so greedy? I told him off and blocked him. Then a guy named Leo messaged me. He didn't have wood or stone, but he had wild apples. I already had 200 left for Buddy's snacks, and my fruit tree was picked clean. I asked how many he had. I've got a whole orchard. Tons of trees. Just tell me how many you want. I couldn't believe it. He was sitting on thousands of fruits and had no idea what they were worth. I went big. 200 apples for 1 unit of salt. He agreed instantly. I almost felt bad. Almost. But this is survival. If you don't know what your stuff is worth, that's on you. I added him as a friend. That orchard was too valuable to lose touch with. Final tally from the day's trading. 75 units of wood, 75 units of stone, 200 wild apples. I was getting rich. I also discovered that the trade system had a storage space. Items obtained through trading could be compressed to palm size and stored there without spoiling. You couldn't store non-traded items, though. I tried to exploit that loophole and failed. I spent the afternoon refining the rest of the salt ore. By 4 p.m., I had 116 total units of crude salt. I listed 10 on the market, this time at 30 wood or stone per unit, a slight markup. I kept the rest saved. Salt would only go up in value. I searched the whole trade channel and world chat. Nobody else was selling salt. I was the only supplier. For the first time, I understood what it felt like to be a monopolist. Before nightfall, Buddy and I headed to the waterfall to refill all the buckets. On the way back, Buddy suddenly dropped his bucket, started barking, and grabbed my pant leg with his teeth, pulling me to the left. I followed. About 50 meters off our usual path, Buddy stopped. Buddy barked and stared ahead. There, hidden in the tall grass, was a stone treasure chest. Buddy, you absolute legend. I rushed over. The system said it was a sealed treasure chest. The stone shell hid a random quality chest inside, anything from white to black tier. I rubbed Buddy's head for luck, prayed to every god I could think of, and smashed it open with my axe. Purple light. A purple chest. Not the absolute best, but still excellent. I cracked it open. The loot was insane. A level 2 shelter blueprint, a level 3 shelter blueprint, a full set of basic furniture blueprints, bed, chair, table, storage, chest, a raincoat blueprint, a purple-gray protection array that hides the living soil in a pocket dimension so nobody can steal or destroy it, and an 80,000 experience pill. I sprinted back to the shelter with Buddy and popped the experience pill immediately. My XP shot up to over 80,000. Auto level kicked in, level 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It cost exactly 74,400, like it was designed to get me to level 10 and no further. I felt dramatically stronger. Then a new notification appeared. Bronze promotion quest unlocked. Kill 1 wild wolf. Location marked on your map. Failure costs 1 level. That made me nervous. The wolf I'd killed before was already near death when I got to it. A healthy level 10 bronze wolf in a real fight? I had 0 combat experience. And if the marked wolf was even higher level, the system probably wouldn't give an impossible task, but difficult and deadly aren't that far apart. I checked the player count. In just one night, the population had dropped from 80 billion to 75.4 billion. Nearly 5 billion people dead already. This world doesn't forgive carelessness. I shelved the wolf quest for now and focused on practical things. Buddy and I filled all 10 water buckets before dark. Back at the shelter, I activated the living soil protection array. The soil shimmered, rippled, and vanished into a hidden dimension. I could summon it back with a thought. No beast could destroy it now. Huge relief. I built a bed from the furniture blueprints, 5 units of wood. Then a chair and a storage chest for 8 more units. The shelter was too small for anything else. Upgrading to level 2 would have to wait until morning since the rules didn't allow building at night. I closed the door. Buddy and I ate roasted meat and apples. For a moment it felt like a vacation, then I slapped that thought away. Comfort kills in this world. Wind howled outside like someone crying. Buddy curled up at my feet and started snoring. I checked my trade listings. All 10 units of salt had sold out. I'd earned 150 units of wood and 150 units of stone. I lay on my new bed, soft beast pelt on top, legs crossed, grinning at my stats. My inbox showed 99 messages. Everyone wanted salt. Life was getting good. But tomorrow, I had a wolf to kill. I spent the evening going through my 99 messages. Almost everyone wanted salt. But I wasn't trading for wood and stone anymore. Those were losing value fast as people leveled up and chopped trees quicker. Instead, I told every buyer to show me what they had. Blueprints, gear, anything interesting. With the Bronze Wolf quest on my mind, I prioritized weapons and armor. Most offers were useless. Hat blueprints, prosthetic limb blueprints, stuff like that. After heavy filtering, I settled on a shopping list. A machete blueprint, a cotton blanket blueprint, a pillow blueprint, a leather armor blueprint, a cotton thread blueprint, some raw cotton, extra beast pelts, and, the big one, a homemade black powder bomb. After an hour of haggling, I got everything for 40 units of salt. The machete, leather armor, and bomb alone ate up 90% of the cost. Converted to wood, that was 1,200 units worth. It stung. But in survival, being ahead early means staying ahead. I couldn't afford to be cheap. That left me with 76 units of salt. I need to refine more tomorrow. Still, with a machete, leather armor, and an explosive, the wolf quest felt doable. And there was always Buddy, level 22, silver rank. But honestly, I didn't fully trust his fighting ability yet. All I'd seen him do was wag his tail, eat fruit, and drool. And we hadn't known each other long enough for me to bet my life on him not running away. I opened the world chat to kill time. People were showing off talents. One guy had invisibility, another could glide through the air. Someone was still desperately searching for a woman named Linda, begging anyone who'd seen her. A guy asked if the person who buried himself in dirt last night was still alive. Someone reminded everyone that the first disaster was hitting in 2 days, and we should stockpile supplies. Some famous people from the real world were trying to rally followers, but nobody cared. Out here we all started equal. Your money, your fame, worthless. I like that. Back home I was just a delivery driver. Here, I had a real shot. I caught myself daydreaming about ruling over millions in this fog world and laughed at myself. Then sleep crept in. I pulled the pelt over me and drifted off. What I didn't know was that the moment I started snoring, Buddy cracked one eye open. He crept to the storage chest, demolished a pile of wild apples and the leftover meat skewer, drank from the water bucket, then quietly slipped back under my bed and went to sleep like nothing happened. I slept deeply that night, the best rest I'd had since arriving. Having Buddy guarding the door made all the difference. At 8 a.m. sharp, I woke up, stretched, and looked at the storage chest. It was a wreck. Fruit cores everywhere, meat gone, water level way down. My blood went cold. Every hair on my body stood up. Did a beast break in last night? Then I looked at Buddy. He was lying under the bed, eyes closed, tail perfectly still, a little too perfectly still. I jumped out of bed and grabbed my axe. But when I checked the door, the little blade of grass I'd placed as a trap was still in position. Nothing had come in from outside. I looked back at the storage chest. Apple cores everywhere, bite marks on dozens of fruits. The bite marks matched Buddy's teeth exactly. That sneaky dog had raided the chest while I slept and was now lying under the bed pretending to be asleep. I kicked him lightly. He hung his head, wouldn't look at me, acting all innocent and pitiful. These apples were already for you. Why did you have to steal them? I scolded him, hands on my hips. He'd ruined about a third of the fruit, 80-something apples with one bite taken out of each. I tossed the pile in front of him and told him to finish them. He tilted his head and ignored me. I couldn't stay mad at that face. Time to gear up for the wolf quest. I used 5 iron ore to craft a machete, white quality, about 60 centimeters long, reasonably sharp. Then I made leather armor from the horned dog pelt, green quality, rated to block claws and impacts from bronze-tier beasts. I put it all on and swung the blade around for about an hour, trying to get comfortable with it. I looked ridiculous practicing movie sword moves, but I needed to make sure I wouldn't drop the weapon mid-fight. Then Buddy and I headed out. The map marked the wolf about 800 meters from my shelter. We approached slowly, crouching low. The last 100 meters took 20 minutes. This wolf was massive, 3 times the size of a normal wolf, with 2 huge fangs. It was sleeping. I pulled out the bomb and the lighter. Click. The fuse lit. I counted the seconds, then hurled it straight at the wolf's head. Boom. The explosion was deafening. Smoke and fire everywhere. The wolf screamed, a horrible, piercing howl. When the smoke cleared, half its face was torn apart, one ear completely gone. But it got back up. Its eyes locked onto me, burning with rage. Then it launched at me like a missile, way faster than I expected. I dove sideways, rolled, and slashed twice across its body before scrambling back. It twisted around instantly and came at me again. I barely dodged with a clumsy roll. Buddy, stop watching and help. Buddy understood. The moment the wolf lunged at me again, Buddy exploded forward, slammed into the wolf, and knocked it flat. He clamped his jaws around its throat and started thrashing violently. I rushed in. I hacked at the wolf with everything I had, over and over, blade falling on its body, leaving deep gashes. The wolf thrashed under Buddy's hold, but couldn't break free. Gradually, the struggling weakened. Then it stopped. Buddy let go and turned to me with those big soft eyes, tail wagging gently, clearly waiting for praise. Good boy. This morning's fruit incident is forgiven. I'll find you a girlfriend someday. I said it completely seriously. He tilted his head like he half understood. The system hadn't confirmed the kill yet. The wolf still had a sliver of life. I chopped at its neck a few more times until the notification finally came. Congratulations. Killed level 10 bronze wild wolf. Experience, 2,500. Reward, green treasure chest X1, another chest. Not bad at all. The system confirmed it. Bronze rank achieved. A warm energy flowed through my whole body. I felt significantly stronger. I decomposed the wolf, got some lean meat and a torn-up pelt. Buddy and I hauled everything back to the shelter. Time to upgrade. I pulled the wood and stone out of my trade storage and confirmed the level 2 shelter build. White fog, 10 seconds, and there it was, a 30 square meter cabin. Sturdier walls, a chimney on top, smooth stone floors, and much more space inside. It even came with a built-in stove and a workbench. The workbench could merge resources, 10 white tier wood into 1 green tier wood. A 10-to-1 ratio, steep, but necessary for higher level construction. Level 2 also unlocked 3 new structures: a fence, a beast kennel, and a garden plot. The fence cost 100 wood, the kennel 30, and the garden 50. I listed 10 more units of salt on the market at 30 wood each. Sold out instantly. That gave me 300 wood, enough to build everything. The fence went up first, a square wooden perimeter around the cabin, about 200 square meters, with a gate in front. Instant security boost. Buddy went crazy running laps around the yard. Next, the kennel. A small wooden hut appeared beside mine. I tossed the damaged wolf pelt inside as bedding. This is your house now, Buddy. Your job is guard duty. He barked happily and dove right in. The garden plot was ready too, but useless without seeds. I'd look for some on the trade market later. I spent the afternoon refining another batch of salt, 60 more units. Then I did the math on upgrading to level 3. 300 green wood, meaning 3,000 regular wood, 600 green stone, and 10 energy crystals. At my current trade rate, the wood and stone alone would cost about 300 units of salt and take at least 3 days of refining. The energy crystals were a total mystery. I hadn't seen anyone mention them anywhere. And the first disaster was hitting the day after tomorrow. Level 3 wasn't happening before then. I made 4 cotton blankets, 1 for Buddy's kennel, 2 layered on my bed, 1 to cover myself. Lying there that night was pure comfort. Meanwhile, billions of people out there were starving, freezing, and terrified. I checked my stats. Level 10, bronze rank, 8,425 experience out of 160,000 needed for the next level. Killing 1 wolf gave 2,500. meaning I'd need to kill over 60 wolves just to level up once. There had to be a better way. I just hadn't found it yet. The global population had dropped to 70.4 billion, nearly 10 billion dead in just 2 days. This world was no joke. The death toll kept climbing, 10 billion gone in just a few days, and the first disaster hadn't even hit yet. I listed 100 units of salt on the market, 50 for wood and stone, 50 for food. With the disaster coming in 2 days, I knew prices for everything would spike once people stopped going outside. Time to stockpile. I searched the trade channel for seeds. Found watermelon seeds, steel iron tree saplings, 2 slow-growing, and cotton seeds. Cotton was a must. If temperatures dropped, it could save my life. I messaged the seller. Her name was Linda. She wanted food only. We settled on 2 units of salt for 20 cotton seeds. Then she asked what else I had and invited me to join in Elite Survivors Resource Exchange Group. 120 people, all with good resources. The name Linda rang a bell. I suddenly remembered. Someone on the world chat had been desperately searching for a Linda for days. A guy named Trevor. I told her about it. She exploded. Turns out Trevor was her neighbor back home. She'd helped him up after he tripped on the stairs because he was staring at her. He took that as a sign she was in love with him. He messaged her that night asking if she liked him. When she blocked him, he started showing up at her door until she called the police. I joined the group. My name showed up with bronze next to it, apparently rank displayed in chat. Everyone freaked out. Nobody else had reached bronze yet. People were shocked I was already level 10. I posted that I had a salt mine producing 120 units daily and asked if anyone had seeds or food to trade. A private message came in from Victor. I've got wheat seeds. Want some wheat? My heart jumped. Wheat meant flour. Flour meant bread, noodles, everything. I'm a noodle fanatic. Back home, I needed one at every meal. Victor's situation was incredible. He'd landed next to a huge wheat field that was already ripe when he arrived. He had about 200 pounds of wheat. He offered me a generous deal, 10 pounds of wheat for just 20 units of salt. At market rates, seeds cost about 1 salt per 10 seeds, and 10 pounds of wheat contained at least 100,000 seeds. He was practically giving it away. He said he wanted to make friends with someone strong, invest in a future alliance. He could see I was bronze rank and figured I'd be someone worth knowing. Whether it was strategic or genuine, it worked. I liked the guy. I accepted. 20 units of salt for 10 pounds of wheat. After all my trades, I was down to just 2 units of salt. I felt almost broke, but I was sitting on cotton seeds, a mountain of wheat, and a salt mine that would refill my coffers tomorrow. I chatted more with Victor before bed. Turns out he graduated from an agricultural university, the perfect person to know for farming advice. With only 2 salt units left, I was nearly broke. I spent my last 2 on 30 iron ore blocks from Felix, planning to make more iron pots tomorrow and scale up salt production. I also realized I desperately needed an iron pickaxe for mining. My axe was falling apart from days of smashing rocks. But I had nothing left to trade with. Tomorrow's problem. I killed time on the world chat. People were forming groups now, some guy recruiting for his elite guild, a women-only survival group, someone charging 10 would just to join a chat full of pretty girls. The oldest profession was adapting to the fog world fast. I shook my head but couldn't blame anyone. Survival makes people creative. Feeling mischievous, I posted a photo of my bed with cotton blankets to the world chat. Single bed isn't as comfy as a memory foam mattress, but it'll do. People lost their minds. Half were furious, half were jealous. Everyone noticed the bronze tag next to my name. My inbox hit 99 again. Mostly people asking how I ranked up so fast, some looking for romance, and a few guys hitting on me. Hard pass. Then one message caught my eye. Karen, were you a delivery driver? I thought someone recognized me. Yeah, why? Karen, did you deliver an order of snail noodles one night? My jaw dropped. It was her. The woman who demanded I climb 33 floors in 5 minutes with no elevator. She must have memorized my name from the delivery app. I couldn't resist. Yeah, those noodles were great. Order again sometime. Go ahead and file that complaint now. She exploded with insults. I fired back, then sent her pictures of my cozy bed, warm blankets, roasted meat, and upgraded shelter. Look at me living my best life. Have you eaten today? Still starving? Freezing tonight? She hadn't eaten properly in a day. She blocked me. I grinned ear to ear. Next morning, day 3. Temperature dropping, 10 to 15 degrees, overcast sky. I made 6 iron pots and 10 more buckets, hauled back 20 buckets of salt, ore, and went all in on production. Reality check. I could only operate 3 pots at once. Mining the ore, crushing it into small pieces, boiling, filtering. One person simply couldn't keep up with 8 pots. I'd been too optimistic. After a full morning's work, I'd only refined 90 units. Better than before, but not the breakthrough I'd hoped for. Worse, my axe was nearly destroyed. Days of bashing rocks had wrecked the joint between the head and handle. Without a proper blueprint, anything I made by hand would be flimsy. I needed a pickaxe blueprint badly. I bought 150 iron ore blocks from Felix for 10 salt, stockpiling in case he stopped selling. My overnight market listings had sold out. 50 salt converted to 750 wood and 750 stone. The other 50 salt I'd listed for food trades still had offers pending. I'd sort through those tonight. For now, I needed to find that pickaxe blueprint. I searched the trade market for a pickaxe blueprint. Prices were all over the place. The market was still chaotic with no stable pricing. I finally found one for 100 units of wood. I also spotted some tempting listings: a wooden cart blueprint for 200 wood, a longbow blueprint for 250 stone, even a rice wine recipe for 100 wood. Everything was expensive. I felt poor all over again. I contacted the cart seller, Luke, but he replied, "No haggling," and shut me down. The cart was important though. Hauling salt or bucket by bucket was killing my efficiency. I kept browsing and eventually found a cheaper cart blueprint for just 50 wood. After lunch, I built the cart and 2 iron pickaxes. The pickaxe made mining so much faster. I tied a strong vine around Buddy and hooked him up to the cart. He pulled it effortlessly. Silver rank strength made him a beast of burden in the best way. Not a single apple wasted on this dog. With the cart, pickaxes, and 5 pots running at once, productivity skyrocketed. By 5 p.m., Buddy and I had produced 150 units of salt, bringing my total to 232. I held off on planting my seeds. With the disaster hitting tomorrow, there was no point risking them on unknown conditions. Instead, I focused on stockpiling food. I opened the trade offers people had left on my listings and started shopping. Food prices were surging by the minute as everyone panicked about the disaster. I haggled hard with a guy named Nathan over potatoes. He wanted 1 salt per potato. He argued that food was the real necessity right now. Salt's importance wouldn't kick in for weeks. He was annoyingly right. We settled on 1 salt for 2 potatoes. I bought 100 potatoes for 50 salt. Then I went on a spending spree. 200 more salt units got me 2 pounds of rice, 10 chili peppers, 20 radishes, 20 peaches, 20 pieces of white tier beast meat, 10 ears of corn, and 20 sweet potatoes. I picked things that stored well: potatoes, sweet potatoes, rice. Meanwhile, wood and stone were crashing in value. 3 wood used to buy a wild apple. Now 20 wood couldn't buy one. Before 6 p.m., I stored 5 buckets of water inside the shelter and brought Buddy in with me. The beast kennel wouldn't be safe enough during an unknown disaster. I barricaded the door with water buckets, bolted it shut, and set up the stove. Then I put the iron pot on the fire and got ready to make chili stir-fried meat. If disaster was coming tomorrow, at least tonight I'd eat well. After days of nonstop work, I decided to treat myself. I sliced up some beast meat, rendered the fat in the iron pot, tossed in a dried chili pepper, and the smell hit me so hard my eyes watered. I almost forgot the potatoes, sliced them up fast, and threw them in with some crude salt. A few minutes later, spicy potato and meat stir-fry. I snapped a photo and posted it to the elite group chat. I ate straight from the pot with handmade wooden chopsticks. Buddy came sniffing around, so I flipped him a piece of meat. He'd never tasted chili before. The spice sent him sprinting around the shelter like a maniac until he downed half a bucket of water. After that, he ignored me completely and went back to chewing his raw meat. Fair enough. The group chat reactions were predictable: jealousy, begging, and one guy cursing me out. Linda kicked the hater immediately. I had leftovers, so I thought of Victor, the guy who generously sold me 10 pounds of wheat at a bargain price. I messaged him and sent over the remaining stir-fry. He traded me half a pound of wheat in return. At current seed prices, that was thousands of grains, another steal. Building goodwill with generous people was paying off. Then someone named Forrest tagged me in the group. He sent a private message. His situation was rough. He'd spawned in a dense forest next to a gold mine. Mountains of gold were everywhere. Problem was, gold was completely useless right now. Nobody wanted it. He'd been trying to sell it since day one with almost no takers. He'd converted most of his resources into food just to survive and couldn't afford weapons. To make things worse, a tiger had appeared near his shelter. It circled his cabin every night and sometimes during the day. He'd been trapped inside all day, too scared to go out. He was asking me for a weapon. I checked the gold or info. Can be used for equipment crafting and jewelry. Has an unknown additional purpose. Requires refining. Unknown purpose. That got me thinking. The ranking system went iron, bronze, silver, gold. Gold rank was level 30. What if gold or was connected to the gold rank somehow? If that was true, this stuff could become priceless later. I made my decision. I crafted 2 brand new machetes, 10 iron ore each, and traded them both to Forrest for 200 units of gold ore. He was overwhelmed, asking why I sent 2. Making a machete only cost me 10 iron ore, I told him. Just take them. The real reason? If gold ore turned out to be critical at higher levels, I wanted Forrest to remember who helped him when he had nothing. A small investment now could pay off enormously later. Then, as I sat back feeling clever, my eyes landed on something in the corner of the shelter. The green treasure chest from killing the wolf. I'd completely forgotten to open it in all the rush to upgrade. I walked over and cracked it open. I opened the green treasure chest. For items, 1 radish, a wooden puppet blueprint, green quality, a small boat blueprint, and a full suit with tie and leather shoes. A suit. In a survival world. For chopping trees in formal wear, apparently. I stared at it with a blank expression and moved on. The 2 blueprints were the real prizes. The small boat needed just 10 wood. Simple, nothing fancy, holds 2 people. I had no river nearby, but I'd keep it for later. The wooden puppet blueprint was far more interesting. Green quality. It could fight, follow basic commands, and get stronger if you gave it a weapon. But the materials were a problem. 5 green tier wood, 1 energy crystal, and 1 wisdom fruit. I'd never seen either of those last 2. Then I remembered, energy crystals were also needed for the level 3 shelter upgrade. I searched the trade channel. Dozens of listings popped up, and the prices were surprisingly low. Most sellers didn't know what energy crystals were for. They hadn't reached level 2 shelters yet, so they had no idea these things were essential for upgrades. A huge advantage for being ahead of the pack. I messaged a seller named Simon. He had 35 crystals, collected casually while exploring. He suspected they'd be valuable someday, but needed food now. He kept asking if I knew what they were for. Obviously, I wasn't going to tell him. Instead, I showed him my 200 gold ore and said, I just collect random shiny stuff. Look, I traded 10 potatoes for all this gold. Your crystals aren't worth more than that. After 10 minutes of silence, we settled on 5 potatoes and 5 pieces of beast meat for all 35 crystals. I wanted to buy up every crystal on the market, but with the disaster hitting tomorrow and my food supply limited, I held back. If I could still go outside after the disaster, I'd sweep the market then. Next, wisdom fruit. The trade channel was flooded with listings. It wasn't rare at all. The description said it was edible, had some moisture, tasted mediocre, and supposedly makes you smarter, though nobody has confirmed this. People were just eating them as food. Because of the food shortage, prices were inflated. After haggling, I bought 2 wisdom fruits for 100 units of wood. Expensive, but I couldn't push the price any lower with everyone hoarding food before the disaster. I kept the boat blueprint tucked away, no water nearby, but it might sell well later or come in handy. Now I had everything I needed for the wooden puppet. Time to build it. I built the wooden puppet. It stood about 1.8 meters tall, oval head, simple line-drawn face, square blocks for ears, stiff joints held together with wooden pegs. It looked absolutely ridiculous, but it could move, run, jump, and carry heavy things. Fine motor skills? Terrible. Manual labor? Perfect. Buddy barked at it a few times until I calmed him down. I made a second puppet using my remaining materials. Had to merge 30 white tier wood into 3 green tier pieces at the workbench first. Then I crafted 2 machetes and armed them both. I sent them outside through a crack in the door to stand guard with orders to attack anything that entered the perimeter. Barricaded the door again with water buckets. Security level, maximum. I was lying in bed at 8:50 p.m. when a system announcement rang out. Starting tonight, a daily quiz would launch at 9 p.m. sharp. A question would appear at the top of the world chat. Answer correctly within 30 seconds, and 3 lucky winners would be randomly chosen from all correct answers. Prizes were random, with a tiny chance of getting a black tier item. Everyone who participated got a small experience reward. 3 winners out of 70 billion people. The odds were astronomically bad. The world chat went wild with excitement and complaints. One guy promised to live stream killing a bear if he won. Another claimed he'd won a 100 million lottery before, and this would be easy. 9 p.m. hit. The question appeared. Can infertility be inherited? I stared at it for 2 seconds, then it clicked. If you're infertile, you can't have children, so you can't pass it on. Classic trick question. I typed, no, and sent it immediately. The chat exploded. Half the people answered, no. The other half seriously argued that all diseases can be inherited. Some med student insisted it could be passed down genetically. People called each other idiots. 30 seconds passed. The announcement came. 3 winners. Kyle, waterproof rain pants with attached boots and gloves. Goldie, 1 gold ore. Patrick, whip blueprint. Everyone else got 2 experience points. I won. Out of 70 billion people, I actually won. And my prize was a one-piece rain suit with rubber boots. Are you kidding me? I had the kind of luck that could win black tier gear, and it was spent on rain pants? Is this telling me to go fishing? The world chat was merciless. People were laughing at all 3 winners. Someone said it was like having lottery-winning luck, but using it on a buy one get one free soda cap. The 2 experience points for participation had everyone furious too. Are we beggars to you? I couldn't help laughing at the chaos, even if my prize was garbage. At least my luck talent was definitely working. The question was whether it had any taste. The elite group chat blew up, tagging me after the quiz. I admitted it was me. Everyone expressed their sympathies for my garbage prize. Then someone named Bobby dropped a bombshell. I think tomorrow's disaster is related to water, possibly rain. My talent involves prediction. People pushed back. How do you know? Is the system your relative? But Bobby held firm. He said his premonition was strong but fuzzy, probably because his level was too low. He wasn't asking for anything, just sharing what he felt. Linda backed him up as group admin, telling everyone to judge for themselves and not attack someone trying to help. I sat with that for a moment. If the disaster was water-related, then my stupid rain pants with boots and gloves suddenly weren't so stupid. And thank God I hadn't sold the boat blueprint. I searched the market for level 2 shelter blueprints. None available. I asked the group. Nobody else had upgraded to level 2 yet. That made me feel good about my progress, though I knew there were probably hidden powerhouses out there already at level 3. Then Linda messaged me privately. She wanted to trade a double experience card for my rain gear. The card doubled all experience gains for 3 hours. Useful eventually, but right now my experience sources were too limited. It would be wasted. And if tomorrow really involved water, I needed that rain suit. I turned her down. She went quiet for a while, then explained her real reason. Her shelter was near a huge swamp full of peat moss, a plant that worked as medicine for bug bites and itching. She wanted to harvest it to sell, but the swamp was filthy and full of biting insects. Rain gear would make it bearable. I offered a compromise. After the disaster passed, I'd lend her the gear with collateral, and she'd give me some peat moss in return. She agreed happily. We'd work out details later. After she signed off, I remembered my raincoat blueprint. It needed just 1 beast pelt, any quality. I used the green quality wolf pelt and got a green quality raincoat. The material quality carried over to the final product. I suddenly realized what I had: raincoat, rain pants, rain boots, rain gloves. A complete waterproof set, all acquired through seemingly random rewards and drops over the past few days. If Bobby was right about tomorrow, then my luck talent had been quietly steering everything into place this entire time. The quiz prize I'd cursed as garbage, the boat blueprint I'd almost sold, the raincoat blueprint from the purple chest, all of it clicking together like puzzle pieces. Was this what luck really meant? Not winning lotteries, but having the right things fall into your hands exactly when you'd need them? I closed my eyes, turning the thought over. Sleep pulled me under before I found an answer. I woke at 6 a.m. 2 hours until disaster. Couldn't sleep, couldn't relax. The countdown was right there on my data panel. The world chat was chaos. People terrified, people bragging. one guy cheerfully announcing he was a death row inmate who'd been teleported here right before execution, so he feared nothing. Someone's wife had blocked him for developing too slowly. Scam groups were popping up everywhere. I cooked a proper breakfast, radish and chili stir-fried meat with steamed rice. If I was going to die today, I wasn't dying hungry. Buddy got raw meat and apples. We ate together in quiet warmth. He wagged his tail, completely unaware of what was coming. I thought about Buddy's background. If he'd been living around here at level 22 silver rank, that probably meant no higher-level predators controlled this territory. That was reassuring. 7 hours, 59 minutes, and 58 seconds. 7 hours, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds. The announcement came. This disaster is a rainstorm. Duration, unknown. Good luck. Bobby was right. The sky turned black instantly. Wind screamed through everything outside. Rain started light, then turned into a downpour. Massive drops hammering the wooden walls like fists. My 2 puppet guards were getting blown around outside. I cracked the door open to let them in. Mistake. The wind found the gap and ripped the door wide open, blasting rain inside. It took me and both puppets everything we had to force the door shut again. I shoved every piece of furniture, storage chest, chairs, table, against it as a barricade. The shelter was a mess. Water everywhere, supplies scattered. At least my bed was tucked in the far corner and the blankets stayed dry. I stripped off my soaked clothes and lit a fire to dry them. Buddy saw me standing there naked, lay down, and covered his eyes with both paws. Even in a crisis, this dog had manners. You're a boy dog. What are you embarrassed about? I muttered. I inspected the shelter thoroughly. The level 2 construction held up impressively. Walls sealed tight, roof not leaking. Only the peephole in the door dripped a little. Nothing critical, but I need to keep checking. The temperature plummeted to 5 degrees and kept falling. The wind picked up stones outside and hurled them against the walls, constant banging. I threw extra wood in the stove, but standing near it barely helped. I dove under my blankets. The warmth slowly crept back into my body. Buddy seemed unbothered by the cold. His fur was enough. Outside, the storm raged on with no sign of stopping. Good thing I'd remembered to grab the dried meat from the roof before the storm hit. Those were green-quality beast meats, worth at least 200 wood each at yesterday's inflated prices. I'd been drying them since day one. Almost forgot about them. Lying in bed with nothing to do, I checked the data panel. Survivor count, 60.2 billion, down from 80 billion. 20 billion dead in just a few days, and the disaster had barely started. The world chat was a nightmare. People who'd built shelters in valleys were watching floodwater rise to their knees. Someone was begging for a boat, offering everything they owned. Meanwhile, one smug guy had built inside a cave. Couldn't die if I tried. Another guy's talent was called 1,000-pound anchor. Wind couldn't move him. He offered to waltz in the rain for entertainment. In the first hour alone, another 150 million people died. The elite group was tense. Linda checked on everyone. A guy named Chase had a rough situation. His level 1 shelter walls had gaps, and water was seeping in. He'd braved the storm to grab mud for patching, nearly getting killed by flying rocks and wind. He'd tied a rope around his waist just to keep from being blown away. Jeff thanked Bobby for his prediction. Bobby said his talent had gone quiet since morning. No new premonitions. Then Tina sent a desperate message. Her shelter was already shaking in the wind, and now a beast was ramming into it, about to break through. She begged for help. Nobody answered. What could anyone say? We were all hundreds of kilometers apart. Even if we were neighbors, going out in this storm was suicide. The group went silent. 10 minutes later, the system showed. Survivor Tina has left the elite survivors group. That meant she was dead. The group had been 140 people. Now it was 139. Then 138. An hour later, 135. 5 elite survivors gone in 1 hour. If the strong ones were dying, I couldn't imagine what was happening to everyone else. I messaged Victor. No reply for 30 minutes, but his name was still lit up, alive. He finally responded. Sorry, fell asleep. If he could sleep through this, he was fine. We exchanged some casual encouragement and signed off. By noon I was still in bed, not hungry yet, not willing to leave the warmth of my blankets. Outside, water was rising everywhere, but my shelter sat on that little hilltop, and the water drained downhill away from me. Smart choice on day one. Some animals had started climbing up to my hill to escape the flooding. Goats, deer, all herbivores. They could barely walk in the wind, stopping to flatten themselves against the ground during the worst gusts. No predators among them. No threat to my level 2 shelter, which was holding strong without a single crack. I watched the survivor count keep ticking down and pulled the blanket tighter around myself. The fire was dying out. I crawled out of bed, freezing instantly, threw on my clothes and my yellow delivery jacket, and added more wood to the stove. Through the peephole, I could see a flock of sheep-like animals huddled together outside my fence, pressed against each other in the wind. And straight ahead, past the slope, something green was growing where there hadn't been anything before. Too much rain to see clearly. I'd have to check later. Then a more urgent problem hit me. Neither Buddy nor I had used the bathroom since last night. Going outside was impossible. The wind would blow me away mid-squat. I searched the trade channel, haggled for a wooden toilet blueprint, got it for 1 potato, and built it immediately using 5 wood. Sat down and experienced true relief. Buddy, meanwhile, couldn't hold it and went right on the floor. I wrapped it in a scrap of beast hide, tossed it in the toilet, bought a mop blueprint for 3 wood, and cleaned up while pinching my nose. The smell got unbearable. I had to open the door to clean the toilet outside. This time I was smarter, full rain gear on first, puppets bracing the door. I cracked it open, fighting the wind, and used the storm to rinse out the toilet. Right as I was closing the door, a treasure chest came flying through the wind and slammed against my doorframe. I grabbed it, yanked it inside, and we fought the door shut again. Green chest. I ripped it open. Wind anchor pill, blue quality. X2. Swallow 1 and your body becomes heavy enough to resist the storm for 2 hours. A carton of cigarettes. Socks. Shampoo. I nearly cried at the cigarettes. I'd been a pack-a-day smoker back home and hadn't had one in days. I tore open a pack, lit up, and inhaled deep. The head rush from days of withdrawal hit so hard I felt like I was floating. Pure bliss. Then I looked at the wind anchor pills. Blue quality from a green chest. Incredibly rare luck. And exactly what I needed. It was like the universe kept handing me the perfect tool right when I needed it. I put on the full rain suit, coat, pants, boots, gloves, grabbed a machete, and swallowed 1 pill. Instantly my lower body felt rooted to the ground. Rock solid. Buddy barked, wanting to come. I rubbed his head. Too windy for you, boy. Stay inside. He understood and lay back down. I squeezed out through the door, had the puppets bolted behind me, and stepped into the storm. Rain hammered my gear. Wind screamed past. I couldn't breathe facing forward. Had to cover my mouth and nose with one hand, head down. But the pill worked. The wind couldn't knock me over. I could walk. Slowly at first, then faster as I adjusted. I headed toward that patch of green I'd spotted earlier on the slope ahead. Outside the fence, I passed the flock of sheep-like creatures, dozens of them huddled together, ignoring me completely. I left them alone and pushed forward through the storm. After 10 brutal minutes of walking, I reached the green patch I'd spotted through the peephole. Bamboo shoots. Not just any bamboo shoots. Rain bamboo shoots, blue quality. I read the description and nearly lost my mind. Eating one gave you 2 effects for 2 hours. Wind anchor, 80% reduction in storm impact, letting you walk almost freely in the hurricane. And rain lover. 2 experience points per minute just for standing in the rain. That's 120 per hour, 240 over the full duration. 4 low-level survivors still struggling to hit level 10. That was better than chopping trees all day. And on top of that, harvesting each shoot gave 400 experience. These things were a gold mine. I dug in with my machete. Each shoot took about 2 minutes to dig up, and I could carry 3 at a time. Between the wind anchor pill and eating one of the shoots, I could move almost normally in the storm. I ran back and forth all afternoon, 4 hours, about 4 to 5 trips per hour. By 6 p.m., I'd harvested 56 shoots with maybe 100 still left in the ground. I wasn't sure if they'd regrow overnight or mature into full bamboo by morning, losing their edible properties. I'd have to check tomorrow. Back inside, I stripped off my wet gear, lit a cigarette, and sat down to think about pricing. These shoots were incredibly valuable right now during the storm, but worthless once the rain stopped. I had to sell fast. I set the price, 300 units of wood or stone per shoot. Not cheap, but not outrageous. During the disaster, nobody could go outside to gather resources, so stockpiles were shrinking fast. Too high a price, and nobody could afford it. Too low, and I'd regret it if the storm lasted days. I posted the rain bamboo shoot info to both the elite group and the world chat, then boiled some corn and sweet potatoes for dinner. Buddy ate his fruit and raw meat, then started batting an apple around the shelter like a ball, entertaining himself while I dried my clothes by the stove. The elite group, down to 120 members now, 20 dead since morning, went wild. Linda, this is amazing. How are you selling them? Bobby, save some for me. Messaging you now. Jeff, this is incredible, but I definitely can't afford it. Just drooling from the sidelines. Mark, check your DMs. I want some. I'll make it worth your while. The messages started flooding in. Everyone wanted rain bamboo shoots. The elite group was buzzing. Plenty of people wanted to buy. I started going through the private messages. Linda bought 2 shoots for 600 wood. I offered to make her a raincoat for free if she sent me a beast pelt. No cost to me since I had the blueprint, and it was a nice gesture for the group admin. Then I opened Mark's messages. He'd sent several already. How many shoots do you have? I want all of them. I told him the price, 300 wood or stone each. He didn't even flinch. Turns out Mark was sitting on a ridiculous advantage. His talent was beast taming, and he'd tamed the leader of a colony of iron-toothed beavers, about 200 of them. He just commanded them to chew down trees, then walked over and collected the wood. Each beaver could fell 2 trees a day. At minimum 6 wood per tree, that was 2,400 wood daily, at least. And his shelter was surrounded by dense forest for kilometers. I was genuinely jealous. Free labor, no wages. The beavers fed themselves. It was a lumber empire. Mark bought 40 shoots without haggling. I received 12,000 units of wood in one trade. Instantly rich. I kept the remaining 10-something shoots for myself. Then I went to the workbench, converted 3,000 wood into 300 green tier wood, traded 6,000 wood for 6,000 stone on the market at 1:1, then merged those into 600 green tier stone. Level 3 shelter materials, complete. I rushed to upgrade. The system promptly slapped me down. Cannot upgrade shelter during an active disaster. Of course. I'd have to wait until the storm ended. At least I learned an important lesson. Always upgrade before a disaster hits. I browsed my inbox and reserved some shoots for a few serious buyers in case I could harvest more tomorrow. Then a system announcement dropped at 8 p.m. Starting tomorrow, level 2 shelter blueprints would drop more frequently. Experience from all sources was being increased. Treasure chest spawn rates during disasters were going up. Resource gathering now had a chance to drop chests too. The system was encouraging people to go outside during the storm. But the hidden message was clear. Lure them out. Let the storm kill the weak ones. Another round of culling. One annoying detail. The announcement specifically said, experience boost buffs remain unchanged, except for multiplier cards. That felt aimed directly at my rain bamboo shoots. I'd been planning to raise prices. So much for that. At 9 p.m., the daily quiz appeared. If you put a straw at the bottom of a glass and drink, you're sucking water from the bottom. So why does the water level drop from the top? Trickier than yesterday's. I sent my answer with seconds to spare. The world chat was a circus of responses. Tons of, I don't know. One guy raged about being a primary school graduate who couldn't handle these questions. Someone suggested just flipping the cup upside down. Another person actually explained the physics correctly. Water fills from the bottom up as you remove it, so the surface level drops. I waited for the results. The quiz results came in. Today's 3 winners. Brian, 80,000 experience pill, purple quality. Helen, level 2 shelter blueprint. Fiona, level 2 shelter blueprint. Way better prizes than yesterday's garbage. I was jealous sick, especially of Brian's experience pill. The same thing that had catapulted me to level 10. The world chat exploded with people trying to friend him. Women were sliding into his DMs. Everyone mocked yesterday's winners, including me and my stupid rain pants. I pulled the blanket over my head and fell asleep. Next morning, same routine. Woke early, made porridge, checked for leaks. Survivor count, 50.2 billion. 30 billion dead total. The storm hadn't weakened one bit. At 8 a.m. sharp, I suited up in rain gear, ate a bamboo shoot, and headed out. Good news. New shoots had grown overnight. Bad news. 3 of yesterday's uneaten shoots had matured into full bamboo, no longer edible, and the new batch was smaller than yesterday's. I checked the mature rain bamboo. Blue quality building material with wind resistance. It would vanish when the rain stopped unless harvested first. Useful. I'd chop them down and store them. Then I dug up my first shoot of the day. 4,000 experience. Not 400. 10 times yesterday's amount. The system announcement about boosted experience was real. Tree chopping had jumped from 2 to 20 experience too. The fog world was deliberately accelerating everyone's growth. My old axe was nearly destroyed, so I bought a blueprint for 100 wood and crafted a new one using green tier materials. Much sharper and more durable. Chopping rain bamboo was surprisingly easy. 2 or 3 swings each, for 1,000 experience per stalk. I worked nonstop all day. Morning haul, 26 shoots and 3 bamboo stalks. Afternoon, 39 more shoots and 1 bamboo. Total for the day, 65 shoots and 4 bamboo. 276,000 experience. I leveled up to 11. I also noticed the sheep flock was still camped outside my fence. I checked their info. Iron horn sheep, bronze rank, level 10. Tameable. Delicious meat. And their horns were equivalent to green quality iron ore. Once the storm ended, I tried to catch one. Back inside, my clothes were soaked again. I had nothing dry left except the suit. I put it on. It fit perfectly, 1.8 meters tall, looking like a young CEO. In a wooden cabin. In a fog apocalypse. With a golden retriever staring at me. Can't let Buddy think I'm some kind of weirdo who walks around naked, I muttered, adjusting the tie. I stretched, and Buddy barked at me in my new suit like he was calling me vain. I took a full-body selfie, blurred my face, with my triple-blanketed bed in the background, and posted it to the elite group. Let them suffer. Dinner was potato chili meat stir-fry with rice again. Buddy got his usual meat and fruit. His coat was looking shinier and healthier these days. Regular meals were doing him good. We ate together in our warm little cabin while the storm raged outside. What I didn't realize was that the water level on the slope below was rising steadily. The low ground where it had been draining was almost full. After dinner, I lit a cigarette in my suit. Felt like a movie villain, and checked the group chat. People were complimenting my outfit. Mark was promoting my bamboo shoots to everyone, saying they were amazing for getting outside during the storm. Bobby wanted one too. I posted a request. Anyone have green tier wood or stone? Priority trades. Here's why. I noticed a new message on my workbench. Starting tomorrow, merging white materials into green would only have a 50% success rate. That changed everything. White tier resources were about to become nearly useless for crafting. Anyone smart enough to notice this would rush to convert or buy green materials before the change kicked in. I predicted the market would shift fast. Once more people upgraded to level 2 shelters after the disaster and saw that 50% failure rate, demand for green materials would explode while white materials would crash. I sold 60 bamboo shoots, keeping 5 for myself. Then I spent over 2 hours converting everything I earned, food, wood, stone, into green tier materials through aggressive trading. Final haul, 560 green wood, 540 green stone, 510 green iron ore, 10 green beast pelts, plus various other green resources and some premium food items like river shrimp and a big carp. Not the most efficient per shoot, but I was hoarding for the future. At 9 p.m., the daily quiz appeared. Draw a square on paper. How can you interpret it as a circle? I stared at it and yelled a curse word. The world chat was a wall of people screaming in frustration. Then someone posted an answer. A circle is 360 degrees. A square has 4 90-degree corners. 4 times 90 is equal to 360. Therefore, a square equals a circle. Clever enough. Everyone copied it frantically. Today's 3 winners all got the same prize, level 2 shelter blueprints. All 3. Clearly the system was trying to help more people upgrade. The chat was a mix of envy and frustration from everyone else. I didn't win tonight. But honestly, I was too rich to care. I slept hard, too hard. The storm woke me with a massive thunderclap that shook the whole shelter. Lightning was striking trees outside, toppling them into the rising water. The thunder lasted about an hour, then vanished like it never happened. I dragged myself out of bed, ate leftovers, suited up in rain gear, and stepped outside. My stomach dropped. The fence was gone. The beast kennel, gone. Blown away by the wind overnight. The sheep flock was still there, somehow unmoved, but everything around my hilltop was underwater. The bamboo shoot patch? Completely submerged. No more harvesting. Worse, the water had risen to 2/3 of my hill's height. At this rate, the whole hilltop would be underwater within a day. My shelter would be flooded and eventually destroyed. I went back inside feeling crushed. Searched the trade channel for anything that could help. Flood barriers, elevation tools, anything. Nothing useful. I wanted to give up. I stripped off my clothes and crawled back into bed to sulk. Buddy walked over, stared at me with those big eyes, tail wagging gently. Just trying to make me feel better. I rubbed his head. It helped. I asked the elite group for advice. Linda said a boat could save my life, but probably not my shelter. Bobby said a level 2 shelter's stone foundation wouldn't collapse easily. It could survive being submerged. A new member, Dustin, was already standing on stacked tables with water at his knees inside his own shelter. He seemed totally unbothered. Then it hit me. I didn't need to protect the whole hilltop. I just needed to build a wall around my shelter, 1 meter out from the walls, all the way around. Stone blocks stacked with a sloped angle, like a tiny pyramid, so the wind couldn't catch them. Then seal the gaps with mud. Add wooden boards to extend the roof, so rain drained outside the wall. I got to work immediately. It was brutal, placing each stone block while lying on top of it so the wind wouldn't blow it away. Every piece had to be positioned carefully with a slope. No lunch break. I ate bamboo shoots just to maintain my wind resistance. By late afternoon, the wall was done. 3 layers high, about 1 meter, with 2 extra sloped layers for wind deflection. Then I spent 2 more hours hauling mud in buckets to seal every crack between the stones. Finished at exactly 6 p.m. Back inside, exhausted but proud, I opened the group chat. A message from Bobby caught my eye immediately. Good news, everyone. My talent is working again. I have a strong feeling the disaster is about to end. Take it as a reference, not a guarantee. Jeff, please be right. I can't take any more of this. If Bobby was right, I'd be upgrading to level 3 very soon. The daily quiz hit at 9 p.m. Today's question: the character for father on top, the character for Minnie on the bottom. What does it read? The answer was Dad. Basically, the system tricked 70 billion people into typing Dad in the world chat simultaneously. A massive, involuntary, calling Daddy event. The chat erupted in laughter. Foreign players who didn't know Chinese characters were completely lost. Tonight's winners: Linda, blue quality, level 2 treasure chest. Some guy with a ridiculous name, level 2 shelter blueprint. Another guy, level 2 shelter blueprint. Linda, our group admin. The elite chat went wild, demanding she open it live. She started a group stream. Her shelter looked tidy, food stacked in one corner, a pile of green peat moss in another. She was wearing clean athletic clothes, clearly unaffected by the storm. The guys in chat immediately started fawning over her figure. She opened the chest. For items, a squad rally card, a red carrot, a level 2 shelter blueprint, and a bedding set. The squad rally card was the interesting one. It let the user form a 3-person team. Team members couldn't attack each other, and the card holder became team captain with the power to swap members. People debated whether it was useful. Chase called it garbage since nobody could meet in person. But Bobby made a sharp point. Maybe this item exists because we'll be able to meet each other soon. Mark reported that he'd gone out chopping trees today and found 4 bronze treasure chests as drops. The boosted rates were real. He'd gotten experience pills and was almost level 10. He publicly thanked me for selling him the bamboo shoots. Everyone else regretted not buying. I picked up a useful detail. You only got chest drops and experience if you personally participated in gathering. Mark's beavers chopping alone produced wood, but no rewards. The chest drop rate was roughly 1 in 10 or so. After the group chat quieted down, Linda messaged me privately. Want to form a squad? I have the card. I'm picking you because you're the only bronze rank player in the group, strongest by far. I want to attach myself to a strong ally. She laid everything on the table. Her swamp had rich resources and fertile mud perfect for farming. Her talent was mind control. She could attack a creature's mind and stun it temporarily. Impressive. But I told her to wait until after the disaster. There was no point forming a team when we couldn't even see each other. And any of us could die before the storm ended. She took it well. I'll save you a spot. Good night. I closed my eyes. Buddy was already snoring. I joined him seconds later. I woke before dawn. Couldn't sleep. Lit a cigarette in the dark and just sat there. The entire hilltop was underwater now. The sheep were gone, swept away, or fled somewhere. But my makeshift stone wall held perfectly. not a drop of water inside. It looked almost absurd, a tiny fortress in the middle of an ocean. Survivor count, 45.2 billion. Half the original population gone. The temperature had dropped to 3 to 7 degrees. But the death rate was slowing. Most of the weak had already been weeded out. The ones left knew how to survive. I noticed something interesting on my stats. Level 11 now required 250,000 experience, not the massive doubling I'd expected. The system had quietly reduced the scaling. Good news for everyone. At 8 a.m., I ate a bamboo shoot, suited up, and went out. Nothing but water in every direction. The bamboo shoot patch was completely submerged. Any mature rain bamboo that grew overnight had been swept away. There was nothing left to harvest. I checked the wall. Water was only 10 centimeters up the outside. Still plenty of clearance. I repacked mud into every crack for extra reinforcement. Then, drifting slowly through the flood toward my wall, a treasure chest. Just floating right to me. I waited, fished it out, and rushed inside. Blue chest. I didn't even take off my rain gear before ripping it open. 10 lighters, nice. A fishing net, useful. A grandma's foot wiping rag, what the actual. And a peach tree root, purple quality. The tree root was the jackpot. Plant it, and it grows into a special fruit tree. Eating the fruit gives experience. Purple quality meant serious experience gains. But there was a catch. It needed high-quality soil. Regular dirt wouldn't work. And it was just a tiny sapling. Who knew how long until it bore fruit? Plus, I need to protect it from future disasters. I had the treasure but couldn't use it yet. Like having a sports car with no gas. I stored it in the chest and tried to relax. Played with Buddy. Fed the stove. The blankets were getting damp from all the humidity. There was absolutely nothing I could do outside, just water everywhere. I started worrying about falling behind. Surely other people had stormproof tools too. Out of 45 billion survivors, even 1% with outdoor capability meant 45 million people out there grinding while I sat in bed. But then I looked at Buddy, took a breath, and told myself to stop spiraling. I was doing fine. Better than fine. Bobby posted in the group, "My prediction talent is getting clearer. The disaster will end within 2 days." I'm so confident that if I'm wrong, I'll live stream demolishing my own shelter. Jeff was nearly crying with relief. His shelter was barely holding on. I slept through the entire day, waking up at 8 p.m., just in time for the quiz. Didn't win tonight. All 3 prizes were level 2 shelter blueprints again. I checked the shelter, fed Buddy, crawled back into my damp bed, and prayed Bobby was right. Water was still rising. By morning it reached a third of my wall's height. I spent half an hour repacking mud into every gap, then retreated back inside with nothing to do. Mark messaged me. He'd hit level 10 and triggered his bronze promotion quest, kill a horned dog. He offered 100 wood for my advice. Easy money. I told him to buy some black powder bombs, get proper armor and weapons, and use his beaver army to swarm the beast first before finishing it himself. I didn't mention Buddy helping me with my own wolf kill. He thanked me and sent the wood. Boredom was becoming its own kind of torture. I considered building the small boat, but the wind would flip it instantly. So I just sat there. Some survivors were handling the boredom in creative ways. I joined a group called Die Happy, 200 members. Inside, a woman was doing a suggestive dance on livestream, charging 10 would to join a VIP group. I left immediately. Other groups were running gambling operations. Some people lost everything, including their last food, and were basically waiting to die. All the worst parts of the real world, recreated in days. On the world chat, people were analyzing when survivors might finally be able to meet in person. Someone had found a mall 9.9% discount card. Even though the shop system wasn't open yet, proof the mall would launch soon. Nobody knew what currency it would use. Hot topic. Then I noticed someone posting a high price by order for rain bamboo. Curious, I messaged him. Rocky was rude at first. He'd been flooded with scammers trying to sell him regular bamboo. Once I sent him a photo of my actual rain bamboo, he calmed down. I pressed him on why he needed it. After a long pause, he shared something interesting. He had a blueprint for a Void Realm identity badge. Materials needed: 1 energy crystal and 1 rain bamboo. The badge would grant unlimited daily access to something called the Void Realm, up to 12 hours per day. Other features would be revealed when the Void Realm opened. A virtual world? I had no idea what it was for, but any unique system feature was worth investing in early. I proposed a deal. I'd give him 2 rain bamboo, he'd craft 2 badges, and give one back to me as payment. He hesitated, but I was his only supplier. He agreed. We set it up through the official trade platform, which generated a binding contract. If either party broke the agreement, the fog world would kill them. No scamming possible. Clean deal. I split the rain bamboo into 3 units, enough for Rocky's deal. Funny how I'd originally kept that bamboo stock just to hang wet clothes on. Lucky I'd harvested it when I did. Evening came. I grilled 2 pieces of beast meat, one for me, one for Buddy. We were eating peacefully when the system announcement hit. The disaster will end tomorrow at 8 a.m. All survivors who make it will receive a green treasure chest. I jumped up and hugged Buddy, spinning him around the room. Finally, no more hiding in this damp box. The world chat exploded with emotion. People crying with joy, some barely alive, hanging on by threads, finding new strength to survive one more night. One person bragged about wanting even harder disasters. Everyone told him to shut up. Somewhere out there, a woman was clinging to a tree hollow 15 meters up, soaked in hypothermic, her shelter destroyed by the wind that afternoon. The announcement gave her eyes a spark of hope. People were wedged into rock crevices, and one poor soul was reportedly still airborne, caught by the wind, and never came back down. At 9 p.m., the quiz. People who carry the well and leave home. Don't they find the well heavy? It was a wordplay trick. The phrase, Beijingli Shang, is a saying meaning to leave one's hometown, not literally carrying a well. I answered correctly. Tonight's winners got a wheelbarrow blueprint, a level 2 shelter blueprint, and a gold puppet, purple quality. I was jealous of that puppet, way better than my wooden ones. Then Linda messaged again about the squad. Tomorrow the disaster ends. I've already got Mark on board. 3-person team, just waiting for you. We can learn the squad features early and get a head start. I thought it over. Linda had her swamp, peat moss, fertile soil, and a mind control talent. Mark had his beaver army producing thousands of wood daily. Both were solidly first tier. They wouldn't drag me down, and honestly, they might outgrow me after the disaster if everyone developed freely. I said yes. 2 invitations from the group admin herself. I'd be rude to refuse. Linda was thrilled. She said she'd activate the squad rally card tomorrow morning. The 3 of us would officially become a team. I lay in bed afterward, wondering about bigger questions. Why did this fog world exist? What was the purpose of making billions of people fight to survive? I couldn't figure it out. My shelter was still surrounded by floodwater with no sign of it draining. The more I thought, the more anxious I got. So I stopped thinking entirely. Tomorrow would be different. Tomorrow the storm would end. I closed my eyes and fell asleep fast, while billions of others stayed awake all night, too excited or too scared to rest. I woke at 6:45 a.m. The storm sounded weaker. Water outside had climbed to 2/3 of my wall, but the weather panel said, storm turning to clear, just over an hour to go. Survivor count, 40.2 billion. Half of humanity, wiped out in a few days of rain. I made breakfast, ate with Buddy, and lit a cigarette. A smoke after a meal beats being immortal, I muttered. At 8 a.m. sharp, the storm vanished. Just gone. Sunshine burst through instantly, warm on my face for the first time in days. A massive rainbow stretched across the sky. Buddy bolted outside and started running laps around the shelter, pure joy. Even the wooden puppets stretched their stiff arms like they were relieved. The system announced, "Congratulations to all survivors. You've earned our respect." As a reward, all survivors receive 1 green treasure chest. Then 2 huge updates. First, shelter demolition and relocation. You could now tear down your shelter and rebuild it somewhere else. Materials wouldn't be refunded, and you'd start from level 1 again, but you wouldn't need blueprints anymore. This was exactly what I needed. My hilltop was too low. Next disaster could drown me. Second, the Void Realm was now open. I checked the details immediately. Every survivor could enter the Void Realm twice daily, 3 hours per visit. Inside, you could set up market stalls, trade face-to-face, and socialize. Most importantly, you could invite someone from the Void Realm back to your real shelter for up to 3 hours. People could finally meet. That meant real alliances, real commerce, and real danger. Someone could accept your invite, enter your shelter, and kill you for your stuff. Trust would matter more than ever. My Void Realm identity badge from the deal with Rocky gave me unlimited entries and double the stay time, 12 hours instead of 6. That advantage would pay off eventually. I resisted the urge to explore the Void Realm immediately. Priority 1, upgrade to level 3. But then I realized the ground was still flooded. I couldn't build anything in standing water. I'd have to wait for it to drain, probably by afternoon. This also confirmed my decision to relocate. The hilltop was too short. I needed higher ground for the next disaster. Linda messaged me. She'd activated the squad rally card. I accepted the invite. Our 3-person team was official: me, Linda, and Mark. She invited me into the Void Realm to hang out, but I declined. Too much real work to do first. I started organizing all my supplies and resources, preparing for the move. The water was already receding. By afternoon, I'd find a new home. I hung my damp blankets on the steel iron trees to dry. They were almost moldy after days of humidity. The fence in Buddy's kennel were gone, destroyed by the storm. Buddy barked furiously when he saw his little house missing. I promised him a bigger one. He calmed down barely. By afternoon, the water drained fast. I checked where the rain bamboo had grown, completely bare, as if nothing had ever been there. I dug half a meter down with my pickaxe. Nothing. The shoots had vanished into some kind of void. I kicked myself for not storing more bamboo inside my walls before the flood carried them off. I searched in the direction the water had flowed, picking up scattered rain bamboo stalks as I went. Found several over a few hundred meters. The salt mine was intact, good news. But I still hadn't found a proper new location for my shelter. Then I reached the waterfall. I looked up, about 10 meters high, not too steep. I climbed up the gentler left side. The top was perfect. A flat plateau of roughly 5,000 square meters, backed by a mountain on one side. A small stream ran across it, feeding the waterfall below. The ground was level. The elevation was much higher than my current hilltop. Close to the salt mine. Water source built in. This was the spot. It was nearly 6 p.m., so I headed back. Tomorrow morning, I'd relocate. After dinner, I put on my suit, washed my hair with the shampoo from the chest, and entered the Void Realm with Linda and Mark. The Void Realm was a massive plaza, enormous, packed with survivors. People were already sitting on the ground with goods spread out, hawking their wares like a giant open-air market. Nothing caught my eye, mostly basic materials. Linda used the squad's rally feature to teleport us together. First time seeing each other face to face. Linda was tall, athletic build, wearing clean black sportswear. Pretty face, bright skin, confident eyes, warm smile. She looked like the girl next door, if the girl next door could mind control beasts. Mark was the opposite, big, broad, dark-skinned, buzz-cut. Looked like a friendly bear. Exactly the kind of guy who'd command 200 beavers. Looking sharp in that suit, Mark laughed. We chatted about progress. Mark had passed his bronze promotion quest. Linda had triggered hers and needed help killing the target beast. We agreed to assist tomorrow. Mark mentioned a huge stone monument in the center of the plaza. It said shops could be opened in the Void Realm eventually, but the feature wasn't active yet. We were all excited about that. Organized stores would be way better than the chaotic ground stalls. We wandered around together. My suit attracted constant attention. Multiple groups approached us, trying to recruit us into their organizations. We declined them all. Most of these guilds were barely organized, people using the team-up concept to scam resources from trusting members. And it was already happening. On the very first day of the Void Realm, some survivors had naively invited strangers to their real shelters. Those strangers killed them and stole everything. Word spread fast. Nobody would be trusting anyone with shelter invitations for a long time. The Void Realm was already showing humanity's dark side. We watched a chubby guy begging a blonde woman, apparently his wife from the real world, to come back to his shelter. She mocked him viciously, called him worthless. Then the moment he mentioned he had mushrooms to eat, her eyes flashed with something dangerous. She softened her tone, agreed to go with him. They teleported away together in a flash of light. That man was probably already dead. We wandered a bit longer, then headed home before the 9 p.m. quiz. I didn't win tonight either. Back in my shelter, I remembered the green chest every survivor got for enduring the disaster. I cracked it open. Toothbrush set. A box of condoms. A Void Realm identity badge blueprint. And a garden protection shield. The badge blueprint was huge. I could now mass-produce them myself with rain bamboo and energy crystals and sell extras. No more depending on Rocky. The garden shield was even better. It created a protective dome over my garden plot, shielding plants from disasters and weather. It even accelerated growth by 5% and ignored seasons entirely. It ran on energy crystals. More crystals meant a stronger shield. This meant I could finally plant my wheat and cotton without fear. Linda sent me a photo, a sneaky shot of the two of us standing together in the void realm, with Mark cropped out. I had no idea what that was about. She didn't reply when I asked. Women are mysterious. Next morning, I got to work on the big move. First problem, I had 30 wooden puppets to build for the heavy lifting. I bought 30 wisdom fruits, 10 wood each. Food prices had crashed after the disaster. And 30 energy crystals, traded my last 24 units of salt for them. Note to self, get back to salt mining immediately. 30 puppets stood in formation outside my shelter like soldiers awaiting orders. I sent them marching, back and forth, hauling every piece of stone from my flood wall, every resource, every item, up to the cliff plateau I'd found yesterday. Once everything was moved, I demolished the old shelter. White flash, gone. The living soil popped out of its void pocket, floating in the air. I grabbed it like a newborn baby and carried it to the new location. I placed it in the center of the plateau. The system complained, not enough basic materials. Right. Starting from level 1 again. I quickly bought 200 white wood and stone from the market. Then the upgrades cascaded. Level 1, confirmed. Level 2, conditions met, upgrade. Level 3, conditions met, upgrade. 3 flashes of white smoke, one after another. Level 3 shelter, complete. The level 3 shelter was incredible. 70 square meters of solid green tier stone construction, seamless walls, a proper roof, and an actual window. Inside, wooden floors, ceiling lights powered by energy crystals, and 5 separate areas: kitchen, bedroom, storage room, living room, and a small bathroom with a floor drain. I could take bucket showers now. Each room had a light switch. The workbench sat against the living room wall, and 10 energy crystals were embedded in wall slots to power everything. The fog clearing range expanded to 1,500 meters. New buildable structures, stone walls, beast kennel, garden, and a fireplace. I checked my remaining green materials: 150 stone, 960 wood. I built the kennel, 150 green wood, and garden, 200 green wood, first. The kennel was massive now, 50 square meters with a tall ceiling. The garden generated rich black soil across 50 square meters. I planted everything I had: cotton seeds, potatoes, rice, wheat, and the precious purple tier peach tree root. Activated the garden protection shield with 1 energy crystal. A dome shimmered over the plot. Disaster-proof, season-proof, with 5% growth acceleration. For the walls, I traded 550 green wood for green stone at 1:1. Then built a 2-meter high stone perimeter, 300 square meters enclosed, with a gate wide enough for a cart. Combined with 30 armed puppets standing guard, this place was a fortress. Then I called for Buddy. No answer. Searched everywhere, gone. Probably stir-crazy after days cooped up inside during the storm. He was silver rank, level 22. He'd be fine. I told myself not to worry. After lunch, I equipped my puppet army with pickaxes and carts and sent them to mine salt. My resources were nearly drained from all the building. Time to get back to business. Then I entered the Void Realm to meet Linda and Mark. Linda invited us to her shelter. It was a clean, modest level 2 cabin, 1 table, 1 bed, a stove with an iron pot. Neat and organized. Mark declared his own shelter looked like a pigsty by comparison. Outside, Linda had stockpiled wood, stone, and peat from her swamp. Impressive for anyone, let alone working solo as a woman in this world. She got down to business. My bronze promotion target is a crocodile. It's camped near the swamp. Even without the quest, I can't gather peat safely while it's alive. That croc has to die. We geared up. I wore my green leather armor with a green machete. Mark had similar armor but carried a long sword. Fitting, since his name literally meant sword, he twirled it with a fancy flourish. Gotta live up to the name. Just need a horse, and I'd be a proper knight. Linda strapped on 3 black powder bombs, put on her armor, and grabbed a machete. The 3 of us marched toward the swamp. The crocodile's nest was a few hundred meters out, but the going was slow. Hidden patches of shallow swamp kept catching our feet. Not deep enough to be deadly, but enough to make every step careful. We crept toward the crocodile's nest for half an hour. The beast was sunbathing with its jaws wide open, over 2 meters long, covered in black scales, radiating danger. Way tougher than any wolf or horn dog. We needed to get closer for the bombs. Then Mark's foot sank into a hidden mud patch. He stumbled and crashed down hard. The noise woke the croc instantly. It locked onto us and charged. On swamp terrain, its home turf, it closed the gap terrifyingly fast. "Watch out," I shouted. It lunged at Linda with its massive jaws. She froze, just for a second, but a deadly second. My warning snapped her out of it, and she dodged barely in time. Normal reaction for someone who'd never fought a monster before, especially a young woman. Mark recovered and stabbed the croc's back while it turned. His sword only went in a few centimeters. Those scales were thick. The croc spun and snapped at him. He sidestepped, thrust again, missed. I steadied Linda and told her to wait for the right moment to use her mind control talent, then throw the bombs. I ran to help Mark. Things got bad fast. The croc launched itself at Mark's head just as his foot got stuck in the mud again. He couldn't dodge. He raised his sword to block, but it was useless. The croc's open mouth was inches from his face. I could see Mark smelling its rotten breath. I dove in, grabbed the croc's tail, and yanked it sideways with everything I had. The croc tumbled off course. Mark didn't waste the opening. He drove his sword straight into the croc's eye. The croc screamed, an ear-splitting shriek. Real-world crocodiles can't vocalize, but this was a fog-world mutant. It thrashed wildly in agony. Mark and I attacked furiously, but our weapons barely scratched the scales. Just surface wounds. The croc went berserk. Its tail whipped around and slammed into my chest. Even through the leather armor, the pain was blinding. I gritted my teeth, shook it off, and hacked at its legs in rage. Mark blinded the second eye. I crippled its legs. Now it was blind and crippled, flailing uselessly, attacking empty air. We backed off. Linda seized the moment. She hit the croc with her mind control stun, then lit a bomb and hurled it. I grabbed another bomb from her, lit it, and threw it right at the croc's head. "Get down," Mark yelled. 2 explosions. Deafening. Fire, mud, and debris everywhere. We were covered in swamp filth. When the dust settled, the croc had 3 legs blown off, and its belly ripped wide open. Still twitching. Mark and I walked up and finished it. "Congratulations. Squad kill, bronze iron-armored crocodile. Each member receives 10,000 experience, team bonus. Public reward, green treasure chest X2. We sat in the mud, gasping. I was shaking from the adrenaline. Honestly, halfway through that fight, I'd regretted agreeing to this. We'd barely known each other, and I'd almost gotten killed for someone else's promotion quest. I didn't say that out loud, though. Linda apologized for being underprepared. Mark waved it off. We're a squad, and none of us have real combat experience. Besides, if Kyle hadn't grabbed that tail, I'd be headless right now. We did a proper post-fight review, learning from every mistake. The experience brought us closer, but also drove home how dangerous beasts really were. Next time, no fighting without overwhelming preparation. We split the loot. Linda refused her share since we'd solved her croc problem and completed her quest. Mark and I each got 3 green quality meat pieces, half a damaged croc hide, 5 croc teeth, and 1 green chest. Fair deal. Dangerous work deserves fair pay. We limped back to Linda's shelter, covered head to toe in swamp mud, laughing at how ridiculous we all looked. Linda gave us each 10 units of dried peat moss. The stuff worked as medicine for bug bites, infections, and even colds, worth twice as much as my crude salt on the market. Linda invited us to stay for dinner, but we were too filthy to enjoy anything. Mark had mud everywhere except his eyeballs. He bolted back to the Void Realm to wash off in his river. That left Linda and me. She hesitated, then asked shyly, "Your new shelter has a stream, right? Could I come over and take a bath? I barely have any clean water here." My face went red. Sure. If you don't mind, I definitely don't." We teleported to my place. Linda was stunned by the level 3 shelter, the stone walls, the garden with its protective dome, the puppet army hauling salt or in and out like clockwork. She stared at everything with wide eyes, then quietly resolved to catch up. I heated water in iron pots on stone stoves, carried hot and cold buckets into the bathroom for her, and walked out. "Don't worry, I won't peek," I shouted from outside. She came out a while later in her only set of clothes, freshly washed, but soaking wet, clinging to every curve. I looked away fast. She smiled at the corner of her mouth, said goodbye, and teleported to the void realm. Was that a test? I muttered after she left, shaking my head. I spent the next 2 hours refining salt, 60 units. Then I opened my green chest from the croc fight. Knockoff instant noodles, my childhood favorite. A porcelain bowl and plate set, a wooden bathtub blueprint, and a wooden sofa blueprint. Solid haul. I immediately boiled the noodles, tomato flavor, and slurped them down at the table. Heaven. Buddy still wasn't home. I was worried, but couldn't do anything. I wandered the void realm, watched some guys playing card games with a deck someone had found. Multiple groups tried recruiting me. I declined them all. Back home at 10 p.m. No Buddy. I gave up waiting and collapsed into bed, exhausted from the croc fight. At 2 a.m., barking woke me up. I scrambled to the door. There was Buddy, absolutely filthy, mud-caked from head to tail, with a purple treasure chest clamped in his jaws. He set it down at my feet and gave me the most self-satisfied look I'd ever seen on a dog. I picked him up, mud and all, and kissed him on the head. "You beautiful, brilliant dog. Not a single apple wasted on you." I gave him croc meat and fruit, then turned to the purple chest, hands trembling with excitement. I clasped my hands together like I was praying. "Please, something good." Then I opened the purple chest. Purple light flooded the room. Spatial bracelet, purple quality. 10 cubic meters of storage space. Put anything in, take anything out, just by thinking about it. I almost screamed. This was the stuff of novels. I dreamed about having one of these. I strapped it on immediately and started testing. Made a chair vanish, pulled it back, vanished it again. Over and over like a kid with a new toy. No more hauling resources by hand. No more worrying about storage. Game changer. Quick growth fertilizer X5. Made from animal waste and remains. Speeds up plant growth for 7 days. Effect varies by plant quality. Perfect for my garden. Bread recipe. Useful once my wheat came in. A wheelchair. I stared at it. Is this a curse? I checked the level 4 shelter requirements. 500 blue tier wood, 1,500 blue tier stone, 100 energy crystals, 20 ice crystals, 20 fire crystals, and a level 4 blueprint. I didn't even have much green tier material left, let alone blue. The ice and fire crystals were completely new. I'd never seen them on the market. The blueprint was a mystery too. Survivor count, 38.1 billion. Next disaster, 7 days away. I felt the pressure mounting. Other survivors were catching up fast, better tools, higher levels, people clearing their bronze quests in groups. My early lead was shrinking. I fell asleep worrying. Next morning, a major system announcement dropped. First, all basic tool blueprints, axes, pickaxes, hoes, etc., would no longer have fixed quality tiers. Instead, the quality of materials you used would determine the tool's quality. Use green iron, get a green axe. Second, the Void Realm's Central Stone Monument got 3 new features. Contracts. Survivors could draft binding agreements. Break the terms, and the system kills you. No exceptions. Shops. You could now build permanent stores in the Void Realm with a special blueprint. Teleportation. 1 free targeted teleport per day within the Void Realm. The world chat erupted. People were terrified of contracts. What if someone tricked you into signing something unfair? Others saw opportunity. Women were offering to sign marriage contracts in exchange for being taken care of. Scammers were already recruiting. Former CEOs and celebrities were trying to build organizations with contractual loyalty. I saw the potential clearly. Contracts could secure real trade partnerships and alliances. But the risk was enormous. There was no way to break a contract once signed. Read the fine print or die. Literally. The contract system would inevitably lead to slavery. No laws here, no fairness. But I was more interested in the shop feature. If I could open a store in the Void Realm, I could sell salt directly and even hire someone through a contract to run it for me. I got to work. My 30 puppets had piled up salt or overnight outside the walls. I set up 10 iron pots and ordered them to start refining. They were clumsy and slow, but with 10 pots going simultaneously, I figured the output would be decent. I sprinkled one quick growth fertilizer across my garden, then grabbed my weapons and headed out. Time to find a better way to earn experience than chopping trees. I tested the math first. With my green axe and bronze rank, I could fell a tree in under 2 minutes, 20 experience each. Even grinding nonstop for 10 hours, that was only 12,000 experience. I needed 110,000 more to reach level 12. That meant 10 full days of chopping. Unacceptable. Killing beasts was the only real path forward. I brought 2 armed puppets and Buddy. Within a few hundred meters, we found a level 5 wild boar. Easy kill, 3,000 experience. But the puppets were useless in combat. Too slow, too stiff. They couldn't land a single hit. We pushed toward the fog boundary. A bronze wolf was eating a rabbit near the edge. It spotted us, then spotted Buddy. The wolf's attitude changed instantly. It recognized a silver rank predator. Tail tucked, it pushed the half-eaten rabbit toward us like an offering. Here, take it. Just let me go. Buddy didn't care about the rabbit. His eyes went cold, teeth bared, a completely different animal from the goofy fruit thief I knew. He exploded forward before the wolf could react, pinned it, and clamped down on its throat. I rushed in with my green machete and hacked away. It was over in seconds. 32,000 experience. Green treasure chest. That was more like it. We spent the entire day hunting along the fog boundary. Buddy would lock down the throat. I'd finish them off. Smooth teamwork. By 5 p.m. we'd killed 2 bronze wolves, 1 boar, 1 elk, and 1 bronze horn dog. Total, 125,200 experience. Level 12 achieved. Plus 2 green chests, 15 green quality meats, 8 regular meats, 3 green pelts, and a pile of bones, teeth, and blood. The space bracelet made everything effortless. No hauling, no trips back. Just store and go. But my puppet salt operation was a disaster. They'd started fine, then gradually devolved into chaos. Some froze in place. Others bumped into each other. After a full day, they'd only produced 200 units of crude salt. I'd expected 10 times that. I need to figure out a better system, I muttered over dinner. Low-level puppets just weren't smart enough to work unsupervised. Still, the day was a net win. Hunting with Buddy was efficient, profitable, and, I had to admit, fun. Tomorrow we'd do it again. From the elite group chat, I learned about a new class of survivors, the lost ones. During the disaster, some people lost not just their shelters but their living soil too. They survived, barely, but without the soil, everything changed. No level progression, no talent, no auto-decompose feature for gathering. Chop down a tree and you have to manually cut it into lumber yourself. They couldn't earn experience alone either. Only by joining someone's team and having the leader share experience with them. They were stuck in limbo. At night, they could hide in the void realm, but only for the limited hours allowed. To truly survive long-term, they had to attach themselves to someone with a shelter. And now, with the contract system live, that meant signing unequal agreements, giving up freedom in exchange for protection and food. Some had already been hired by group members. Jeff signed a female survivor who could sew clothes. Chase recruited a muscular guy who was great at physical labor. The jokes wrote themselves. Linda messaged me. If I wanted to recruit lost ones, I should hurry. There weren't many, and they were going fast. The 3 of us met in the void realm. Linda wore a new athletic outfit she'd traded for. Mark showed up in a suit. He'd been obsessed with mine ever since he first saw it. I pulled out cigarettes and offered one to each of them. Mark's eyes went wide. You're my father now. Where did you get these? He grabbed one instantly. Linda waved hers away with exaggerated disgust. I hate smoke. Mark and I stood there puffing away. Other survivors trailed behind us, desperately inhaling our secondhand smoke, waiting to grab the butts when we finished. People offered to buy at outrageous prices. I refused every one. These were irreplaceable spiritual fuel. Linda dragged us toward the central monument. The scene there was intense. Lost ones sat in a row near the stone, negotiating with potential employers. A guy in glasses was shouting, "Professional contract drafting." I was a lawyer back home. Only 10 wood. A bald guy next to him undercut him at 5 wood. They immediately started screaming at each other. Some people were selling pre-made slavery templates, contracts designed to give the employer total control with no way out. Others were reselling lost ones they'd already signed, like trading property. The lost ones tried to negotiate fair terms. but they had almost no leverage. The best they could hope for was a decent employer who wouldn't abuse them. Some were genuinely kind people just trying to survive. Others were desperate enough to accept almost anything. And there was no way to know if a smiling stranger would turn out to be a monster once you were trapped in their shelter under contract. Mark found his pick quickly, a former chef. Mark had been living on boiled potatoes for days and was drooling at the thought of real cooking. They negotiated terms, reviewed the contract carefully, and signed at the monument. The contract gave Mark authority over the chef's actions and even his thoughts. Any intent to harm Mark would trigger instant death by the system. Harsh, but that was the fog world's version of employment law. Linda found her pick, a female lost one who'd been a seamstress in the real world. Perfect for a woman who'd been stuck in the same outfit since arriving. The seamstress figured a bronze-rank female employer was a safer bet than most options, so she signed quickly. I kept browsing. One lost one, a medical doctor, was refusing every offer. She demanded an equal contract, full freedom, no control over her thoughts. Nobody was stupid enough to agree to that. She clearly hadn't accepted her situation yet. Then I noticed a tough-looking young woman turning down one negotiator after another. I walked over. Hi. Interested in talking? I won't sell my body. If that's what you want, leave. Ice cold. You're overthinking this. Can you work? Her tone softened slightly. I grew up doing every kind of farm and household chore. Nothing scares me. Her name was Daisy. Single-parent household, raised doing hard labor. No pampered princess. Exactly what I needed for salt mining and general operations. If there are no issues, let's sign at the monument. She hesitated. I showed her my level 3 shelter stats. Her eyes went wide. She'd never seen anyone with a level 3. She signed immediately. All 3 of us found our people. Lost ones were limited in number. By tomorrow, most would be claimed or dead. Without living soil, they couldn't repel the fog at night. The wilderness after dark was a death sentence. Linda gave me a strange look when she saw I'd recruited a woman. I had no idea what that was about. Back at my shelter, Daisy was stunned by the facilities. I pointed at the living room. You'll sleep here. I gave her 2 blankets. She stood there awkwardly, then admitted she hadn't eaten all day. I opened the storage room door. Help yourself. Or eat my leftover rice if you don't mind. She grabbed the rice and devoured it like she hadn't seen food in days. No manners, no shame, just pure hunger. Eat, sleep, and tomorrow I'll show you around and explain the work. I turned to Buddy. And you, don't bully her. Buddy didn't even lift his head. I went to my bedroom, nearly passed out, then remembered I hadn't opened today's green chests. Sleep vanished instantly. First chest, Monster Lure Incense X5, attracts bronze beasts within. 200 meters for 1 hour. Monster Repel Incense X5, drives bronze beasts away for 1 hour. Toilet Paper X5. Finally, no more leaves and rocks. And Peanut Seeds X20. The incense combo was brilliant. Lure beasts to a kill zone, then burn repel incense when I needed safety. The toilet paper alone nearly made me cry with joy. Second chest, Synthesis Lucky Cards X5. Guarantees 100% success when merging white materials to green at the workbench, up to 100 units each, a pack of green quality tea leaves, athletic pants, and a bottle of mineral water. The lucky cards were valuable. 500 guaranteed green tier resources total. I could use them or sell them for a nice profit. Peanut seeds would go in the garden tomorrow. Good yield crop, versatile uses. I lay back down, satisfied with the haul. Tomorrow, more hunting, more salt, more progress. Sleep hit me like a truck. I woke to the smell of cooking. Daisy had already made potato stir-fry with meat and a bowl of rice porridge. She was sitting quietly, waiting for me to get up. Having someone take care of things felt incredible. Back home, I'd worked 25-hour delivery shifts and never dreamed of hiring help. I noticed she only had 1 bowl of porridge set out for me. Where's yours? I'll just eat a potato, she said, pointing at a boiled one on the table. From now on, we eat together. 1 extra mouth won't break me. She looked at me with something like gratitude, nodded silently, and started eating. Buddy came trotting over, tail wagging, completely comfortable around Daisy already. I smacked my forehead, forgot his breakfast. I tossed him fruit and meat, then told Daisy to always prepare Buddy's meals too. After breakfast, I took Daisy outside to show her the area. The first thing I saw stopped me in my tracks. The garden. Everything I'd planted yesterday was fully grown. The quick-growth fertilizer had worked overnight. One day, and the crops were mature. I harvested everything. 20 cotton, 3 pounds of wheat, 3 pounds of rice, 15 potatoes, plus 200 experience. The produce looked plumper and better quality than anything from the trade market. The yield was modest since I hadn't planted the whole plot, but enough for daily consumption with some leftover. I replanted immediately while the fertilizer was still active, half rice, half peanuts. The peach tree sapling had already grown half a meter tall, leaves swaying in the breeze. It wouldn't be long before it bore fruit. I taught Daisy the salt refining process and assigned 10 puppets to assist her. Only 10. Yesterday proved that too many puppets just created chaos. With a human supervisor, things should run smoother. Then Buddy and I headed out to hunt. I lit one of the monster lure incense sticks and hid in nearby grass. 10 minutes later, a bronze wolf drifted out of the fog zone, nose in the air, eyes glazed over. The incense made it almost drunk, completely unaware of danger. "Buddy, go," he pounced. The wolf never saw it coming. Throat lock, violent shaking, my machete finishing the job. 25,000 experience. Green chest. We repeated this all day. Light the incense, hide, ambush, kill, clean up the blood, relocate, repeat. When 2 wolves showed up at once, I burned repel incense to scatter them and moved to a fresh spot. Way more efficient than yesterday's random patrols. Back home at dusk, Daisy was making dinner. I checked the salt output, 310 units. Better than the puppets alone, but not as much as I'd hoped. The puppets were still unreliable. One had actually caught itself on fire while adding wood to the stove. After 2 days of testing, I accepted the truth. Wooden puppets were only good for hauling and guard duty. Anything requiring even basic judgment was beyond them. Real help had to come from real people. After dinner, I tallied the day's haul. 6 bronze-tier beasts and 3 regular ones killed. Total experience, 170,000. Plus 9 pelts, 17 green-quality meats, 8 regular meats, 2 animal fats, for green chests, and various bones and teeth. All level 10 today. No level 11s showed up. I checked my stats. Level 12. Experience at 186,220 out of 350,000. Should hit 13 tomorrow. Survivor count. 36.1 billion. Dropping about 200 million per day now. Stabilizing. Next disaster. 6 days away. A new notification caught my eye. Leaderboard opening soon. That would expose the strongest survivors for everyone to see. I wondered if I'd make it. Decided not to worry about it until it actually launched. I listed all my salt on the market. 1 salt for 5 green wood or stone. White-tier materials weren't worth buying anymore. Salt demand was still soft. The effects of salt deficiency hadn't hit most people yet. A few other sellers had appeared too, and one idiot was selling raw, unrefined salt or dirt cheap. Didn't hurt me much. I'd also learned from the world chat that lure and repel incense were dropping frequently from green chests now. Lots of brave, or foolish, survivors were using repel incense to explore the fog zone. Some found loot. Others ran into silver-rank beasts that ignored the incense entirely and died on the spot. Time to open my 4 green chests. First chest, lure incense X5, yellowback ant eggs X2, an outer jacket, and a sewing kit. The other 3 chests? Complete garbage. Mineral water, socks, and, I'm not joking, a trash can. Like the system was mocking me. The ant eggs were the only interesting thing. Yellowback ant, green quality of fog world species that reproduces extremely fast. The queen can reach bronze rank. In large enough numbers, they become a genuine threat to other creatures. My mind immediately went to ant armies. In old movies, army ants would strip everything in their path to the bone. If I could hatch and tame these, I might have an insect military force. The breeding speed alone could make them devastating. The question was taming. I didn't have Mark's beast taming talent. Maybe putting the eggs in the beast kennel would work? Maybe not. If I can't tame them, I'll just sell them to Mark, I figured. I stored everything in my spatial bracelet and browsed the world chat. Food prices were insane. 100 wood for a single potato. People were luring others into the fog with fake stories about finding black-tier chests. Others were warning everyone not to believe those posts. Someone was still recruiting lost ones, bragging about his, almost level 2, shelter. Same chaos, different day? Mark messaged the squad channel. Got time? Meet me in the Void Realm. I noticed my Void Realm identity badge had been updated. Unlimited teleportation within the Void Realm, while normal survivors were still limited to twice daily. Huge advantage. Linda rallied us together. Mark was wearing his copycat suit again, but his expression was serious. You've all seen organizations popping up everywhere, he began. Well, today someone approached me about joining one called Origin. The founder is Mark, the electric car and rocket guy from the real world. That guy's still alive? I said, genuinely surprised. Mark explained. Origin's goal was finding a way back to the real world. Members signed equal, mutually beneficial contracts. Benefits included resource sharing, help with promotion quests, access to experts, doctors, physicists, botanists, chemists, at discounted internal rates. If your shelter was destroyed, the organization would help rebuild it. Even lost ones within the group wouldn't be abandoned. It sounded impressive. Mark wanted to know if we should join. I broke the silence first. I'm not joining. I love my freedom. An organization like that will have rules and restrictions. And I'm not signing any contract I don't control. Those terms might look fair now, but this world has no justice system. Once those real-world capitalists consolidate power, anyone outside the inner circle becomes disposable. I'd rather develop quietly on my own. Build high walls, stock deep supplies, claim no throne. That's the ancient strategy. Mark looked blank. Never heard the saying. I tried again. The strong walk alone. The weak travel in herds. Understand that one. His eyes lit up. That's badass. I love it. Linda had already made up her mind. If Kyle's not joining, neither am I. Mark dropped his interest too. All three of us agreed. Stay independent, grow strong quietly, avoid entanglements. We wandered the Void Realm together. Near the monument, two guys were screaming insults at each other. Old enemies from the real world. They couldn't fight in the Void Realm, so they just spat and cursed for 20 minutes while a crowd gathered to heckle. Eventually, they got tired and agreed to meet tomorrow for round 2. We laughed until our sides hurt. Almost no lost ones remained at the monument. Gone, either claimed or dead. I briefly wondered about that stubborn doctor who'd refused every offer yesterday. We said goodnight around 9 p.m. Back at my shelter, the living room light cast a warm yellow glow. Daisy was playing with Buddy. He ran over to greet me, tail going crazy. Then Daisy walked to the stove and came back carrying a bucket of hot water. She set it in front of me. What's this for? I asked. She looked slightly awkward. For your feet. You've been out all day fighting monsters. Soaking them will help you relax and sleep better. I stared at her. At the bucket. At her. Nobody had ever washed my feet before. It felt strange at first, but I closed my eyes and just let it happen. Daisy dried my feet with a small piece of animal hide, carried the water bucket to the door, and quietly left me alone. In bed, I checked my salt sales. All 510 units from the past few days had sold out, 1,050 greenwood and 1,500 greenstone in total. Sounds like a lot, but converting to blue tier at a 50% success rate would barely yield 130 units. Level 4 shelter needed 500 blue wood and 1,500 blue stone. Miles to go. I wasn't going to wait for blue material prices to drop. In this world, waiting means dying. Buy early, survive early. Buy late, feed the beasts. I also listed the 10 units of peat moss Linda had given me. Prices had skyrocketed. 50 greenwood per unit now, thanks to medicine being scarce. A simple cold could kill you here. Almost immediately, a message came in from someone named Chloe. Hi, big brother. Do you have a lot of peat moss? Could you give me 1 unit for free? I have nothing to trade. I sent back a question mark. She launched into a sob story, survived the disaster, caught a cold, fell, and cut her leg while gathering today. She sent a photo, a pale-looking woman with a bloody gash on her shin. Then came the guilt trip. It's just 1 unit to you, but it could save my life. How can you refuse? Don't you have any conscience? Are you even a man? I typed back without hesitation. Don't try to guilt trip me. Whether you live or die is not my problem. Goodbye, blocked. The world was full of scammers using pity to steal resources. Women faking injuries. People running romance scams. Trusting strangers in the fog world was a fast track to losing everything. I didn't win the daily quiz. The prizes were garbage again. People were losing interest. The odds were absurd, and the rewards never matched. I lay in bed planning for the next disaster. 6 days out. Could be anything: freezing cold, extreme heat, acid rain. I need to stockpile food and diversify supplies. Bobby hadn't posted any predictions in the group lately, so his talent probably hadn't picked up anything yet. What I didn't know was that Chloe went straight to the world chat and publicly accused me of using her body and then abandoning her. Complete fabrication. Linda saw it while scrolling late at night and messaged me immediately. I sent her the actual chat screenshots. Linda was furious. She hunted down Chloe's profile and unleashed what I can only describe as a masterclass in verbal destruction. The sweet, gentle group admin apparently had a hidden talent for absolutely annihilating people with words. If I'd seen it in real time, I would have been terrified and impressed. Chloe's smear campaign went nowhere. In a world of billions, nobody cared about petty drama for more than 5 seconds. Linda messaged me one last time. Next time some woman tries this, I'll destroy her for you. I told her not to worry about it, then steered the conversation somewhere useful: swamp soil. The peach tree root needed high-quality soil to survive. Linda's swamp had exactly that. I asked if she'd been collecting any. Only from the edges, she said. Green-quality swamp soil. Going deeper is too dangerous. You sink in, and the whole place is iron-armored crocodile territory. How many crocs? Tons. They come out every evening. But from what I've observed, they don't leave the swamp boundary. During the day, they sleep buried in the mud. Wake one up, and you're in serious trouble. An idea clicked in my head. We have lure incense and repel incense. We can use those to manage the crocs. And if there are that many, we can farm them for experience too. Linda loved the plan. We looped in Mark and agreed to meet at her place tomorrow to scout the swamp. But I needed a stronger weapon first. My green machete barely scratched that croc's scales last time. Bombs worked, but were expensive and risky in swamp terrain. Next morning, Daisy had breakfast ready. I ate, then headed outside. First stop, the beast kennel. I put the 2 yellowback ant eggs in a wooden bucket filled with dirt, covered them with a thin layer of soil. Seemed right. Ants live underground. I left them alone and hoped for the best. The garden was glowing. Rice and peanuts had fully matured overnight under the growth fertilizer. Harvest: 10 pounds of rice, 13 pounds of peanuts, 800 experience. I replanted with potatoes and wheat, had the puppets water everything. The peach tree was already taller than me now, with tiny flower buds forming. Fruit was coming soon. Time to upgrade my weapon. I had 540 green iron or stockpiled. I headed to the workbench to merge green iron into blue iron. Needed 5 blue iron for a blue machete. Then I saw the merge rate. Green to blue was only 40% success, not the 50% I'd expected. Apparently, higher tiers meant lower odds. White to green was 50%. Green to blue dropped to 40%. This made level 4 shelter upgrades even more painful for everyone. No choice. Blue materials were almost non-existent on the market. Merging was the only path. I selected 10 green iron or hit merge. Merge failed. Better luck next time. First attempt. Instant failure. 10 green iron gone. Aren't I supposed to have a luck talent? I yelled at the ceiling. What happened to good things will always happen. My luck talent felt completely useless. First merge attempt. Failed. 40% my foot. I checked the group chat and world channel. Everyone was complaining. Some people had success rates below 10%. The 40% felt like a lie. At least I wasn't alone in my suffering. I washed my hands, convinced bathroom energy was cursing my luck, and came back chanting nonsense prayers. Failed again. Cursed every deity I'd just prayed to. Then it succeeded. I went on an emotional roller coaster. Success, 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 fail, success. By the end, I'd burned through extra green iron, but finally had 5 blue tier iron ore. Every failure felt like losing a limb. I crafted a blue machete. The description was beautiful, forged from high quality ore. Incredibly tough. Cuts through iron. Devastating to beasts. Can be modified. Modified? The workbench immediately detected something. My 200 gold ore from forest could be used as modification material. Conditions already met. I didn't hesitate. White flash, modification complete. Gold back machete, blue quality. Same base stats, plus 2 new effects. Bleed. Every hit causes continuous blood loss. Intimidation. Chance to reduce attack power of any beast silver rank or below. The bleed effect alone was a game changer. Hit once, walk away, and the beast bleeds out. Intimidation was a cherry on top. I told Daisy to keep refining salt, then headed to the Void Realm. I checked Buddy's info before leaving and nearly choked. He'd leveled up to 23 without me noticing. Must have gained experience from our hunting trips together. I wanted to bring him to the swamp, but it was too risky. Swamp terrain plus a hyperactive dog meant trouble. I rubbed his head and promised to be back soon. Linda and Mark were already waiting. Mark was wearing a full-face motorcycle helmet. "What is that?" I asked. He grinned under the visor. "Remember the croc that almost bit my head off? Bought this helmet off the trade channel last night. Nobody's getting my skull this time." Linda and I burst out laughing and gave him a thumbs up. "Once bitten, twice helmeted," I said. We teleported to Linda's shelter and headed for the swamp. At the edge, I grabbed a handful of mud and checked its info. Ordinary swamp soil, incredibly fertile from centuries of decomposed plant matter. Linda explained, "This is just regular quality at the edge. Walk deeper and you'll find green quality soil. Blue quality might exist further in, but I've never gotten that far." The swamp stretched out before us, enormous, most of it disappearing into the fog zone. Even the visible portion was more than enough to explore. Linda led the way into the swamp. She'd spent days mapping the edges and knew which paths were safe. But her knowledge only covered a small portion. The deeper areas were completely uncharted. She stopped and pointed ahead. "That darker area over there is green quality swamp soil, but it's surrounded by knee-deep mud. I've only managed to dig 2 buckets in all these days." I immediately thought about my spatial bracelet. I could scoop up massive amounts in one go. But this was Linda's territory, near her shelter. We were teammates, but still new to each other. Asking to harvest her resources for free would be awkward. I need to trade for it properly. I also wasn't about to reveal the bracelet. Squad members couldn't directly attack each other, but there were always loopholes, letting someone, accidentally, die during a fight, for instance. I trusted Linda and Mark, mostly, but caution never hurts. We discussed whether to push deeper. Nobody knew what lay ahead. One wrong step into deep swamp could be fatal. I suggested a safer approach. Plant the lure incense right here and let the crocs come to us. Everyone agreed. I lit the incense. Then Mark pulled something from his oversized backpack with a huge grin, a beast trap. His taming talent came with a crafting skill for making these. I was jealous. My luck talent just made random good things happen sometimes. His talent had actual practical sub-abilities. We placed the trap, hid behind nearby trees, and waited. 10 minutes. A croc's head slowly emerged from the mud about 100 meters out. It crawled toward the incense, faster and faster, completely hypnotized by the scent. Clang. Its front foot hit the trap. Metal jaws crushed down, deforming the leg. The croc screamed but kept dragging itself toward the incense. The pull was that strong. Now Linda, she was ready this time. No freezing, no hesitation. Her mind control hit the croc instantly. It went rigid, stunned. Mark and I charged from behind the trees. My new gold-back machete was everything I'd hoped for. One swing cut deep enough to hit bone, through those scales that my green blade had barely scratched before. Mark drove his sword into the croc's belly, so hard it nearly went clean through. The croc never recovered from the stun. It was dead before it knew what happened. 15,000 experience each, squad bonus. Level 11 croc. Green chest dropped. First kill of the day, perfect start. We cleaned up fast, buried the evidence, reset the trap, and hit again. Linda looked a little down afterward. "I barely did anything." "You two are incredible." Mark waved it off immediately. "Without your stun, we couldn't have rushed in like that. All 3 of us made this work." I backed him up. She smiled, and the mood lifted. We repeated the process all morning. 6 bronze iron-armored crocodiles killed by noon. The system was like clockwork: lure, trap, stun, slaughter. Back at Linda's shelter for lunch, she was visibly drained. Using her mind control talent repeatedly had exhausted her. She pointed us toward the kitchen supplies and collapsed into a chair. "Pick whatever ingredients you want. Wake me when food's ready." Mark volunteered to cook. He'd just signed a chef through contract yesterday, and apparently that had inspired him to try his own hand. Mark pulled a fish out of his backpack like a magician. A silverhead fish, green quality, about 3 pounds, black body with a silver head. The description said it was delicious, had few bones, and slightly boosted mental recovery. Perfect for Linda after burning through her mind control energy all morning. Where'd you get this? I asked. My beaver army, obviously. They're not just lumberjacks, they catch fish too. He said it like it was nothing. I only have a few dozen of these. Only a few dozen, I repeated flatly. This guy? Mark had planned ahead. He'd known we'd end up eating lunch at Linda's place and didn't want to show up empty-handed. Meanwhile, I hadn't thought of that at all. Embarrassing. I ducked outside, secretly pulled a pound of peanuts from my spatial bracelet, making sure Mark couldn't see, and brought them in. Best I can do on short notice. Mark's eyes lit up. I've loved peanuts since I was a kid. We cooked together, potato stir-fry with meat, steamed silverhead fish, peanuts, and rice. By Fog World standards, this was a feast. Most survivors were still fighting over boiled potatoes or chewing wild grass. I woke Linda. She'd napped for half an hour and looked much better. She tasted the fish and her eyes went wide. I tried it too, genuinely delicious. First new flavor in over a week. Mark beamed with pride watching us enjoy his contribution. We demolished every scrap of food, then headed back to the swamp. Same setup. Lure incense lit, trap placed, hiding behind trees. A croc emerged from the mud within minutes. But this one was different. Almost twice the size of the morning kills, with sharp bone spikes running down its back. A mutant. This one's not normal, I whispered. Fight or run. Mark was riding high on confidence from 6 clean kills. Free meal walking toward us. I'm going in first. Linda was more cautious. Let me try mind control first. If it works, you two charge in. If it doesn't, we retreat. No heroics, we agreed. The croc reached the incense and started inhaling greedily. Linda hit it with her mental attack. It froze, stunned. We cheered internally. Mark charged. I was right behind him. But just as Mark's sword was about to pierce its belly, the croc snapped out of it. Way faster recovery than the normal ones. Its tail whipped around and slammed into Mark's stomach, sending him flying. Again. Hit it again, Mark yelled from the ground. Linda fired a second mind control blast. The croc locked up again. I didn't waste a millisecond. My gold-back machete sliced clean through its front leg, then I swung at its neck. The blue blade cut through those armored scales like paper. Nearly took the head clean off. Mark scrambled up and drove his sword in for good measure. Done. Level 15 mutant iron-armored crocodile. 45,000 experience each. Green chest. We sat there catching our breath, shaken. If that thing had been a few levels higher, we might not have walked away. The stun wearing off mid-attack was a serious warning. We couldn't get cocky. We kept hunting until 5:30 p.m. Final tally for the full day. 10 regular level 10 crocs, 1 level 11, and 1 level 15 mutant. 9 green chests, 30 green quality meats, 12 croc hides, plus teeth and bones. My total experience for the day, 160,000. That mutant alone was worth 45,000, nearly a third of my daily haul from one beast. The experience haul was similar to hunting solo, but my real goal here was the swamp soil. That would come later. Time to split the loot. Mark rubbed his hands together, staring at the pile of materials. Split the loot? You make us sound like a crime gang, Linda said, side-eyeing him. We divided everything equally, except the mutant croc hide. Mark and I gave that to Linda. It was her territory, and her contracted seamstress could turn it into superior armor. Fair's fair. My share, 3 green chests, 10 green quality meats, for croc hides, and assorted teeth and bones. Good day. Mark and I teleported home through the void realm. I made it back at exactly 6 p.m., just as the fog rolled in. First thing I checked, the ant eggs in the kennel. Nothing. No signs of hatching. I had no idea what I was doing wrong, but couldn't think of a better method. The garden looked healthy. Tomorrow's harvest was on track. The peach tree was growing steadily. Flower buds were forming. Inside, Buddy tackled me the second I walked through the door. Tail wagging furiously, half greeting, half complaint for leaving him behind. Daisy had dinner ready. Afterward, she brought me hot water for my feet again. I was getting used to this. How much salt today? I asked while soaking. She looked quietly proud. 370 units. Nice. Way better than yesterday. Keep it up and I'll find you a husband someday. She gave me a look that could curdle milk. She mentioned that several puppets had stopped working entirely. Probably drained energy crystals. I'd check tomorrow. I stored all the meat and supplies, told Daisy to start making jerky and salted meat for preservation. then cleaned up and got into bed. I checked the market. Food prices climbing steadily as the next disaster approached in 5 days. Salt was holding at 1 unit per 5 green wood/stone, stable for now. I listed all my salt for sale and bought 50 energy crystals as backup for the garden shield. Level 13 now. Experience, 288 out of 400,000. Survivor count, 35.8 billion. Only 30 million fewer than yesterday. The lowest single-day death toll since arriving. The Void Realm was helping people find family and form alliances. Some survivors were even destroying their own living soil on purpose to become lost ones, just so they could permanently live in a family member's shelter without time restrictions. Risky, but understandable. I lay there thinking about my assets. A blue machete, 30-something puppets, some broken, buddy, and that was basically it. Not enough cards to play if things got serious. The ant eggs were my wild card. If they hatched and could be tamed, an insect army could change everything. Please let it be 1 male and 1 female, I thought. If they're both males, all they can do is fight each other. Completely useless. All 370 units of salt sold fast at 1:6 green wood ratio. I'd tested 1:10 earlier, way too slow. But 1:6, 1 unit above the market average, flew off the shelves. That confirmed salt was worth about 5 to 6 green materials right now. I'd considered buying food with salt and reselling during the disaster panic for profit, but it was too messy. Food had no standard pricing. Every buyer haggled forever. Half an hour of arguing to sell a few units. Much easier to just set a fixed material price and let it auto-sell. Total from today's salt, 2,220 green wood. Combined with leftovers, I now had 3,330 green wood stockpiled. Time to merge it all into blue. I tested 3 singles first. Fail, fail, success. Not great. Then I said screw it and dumped all 3,300 units in at once. Closed my eyes. Chanted some nonsense prayers. Result, 198 blue wood from 3,300 green. About 60% success rate. Way above the supposed 40%. My luck talent had come through big time. I praised every deity in existence. Riding that high, I immediately merged my 1,560 green stone. Result, 40 blue stone. 40 out of 1,560. That was roughly 25% success. I lost my mind. I stood there screaming at the workbench for a solid 5 minutes. My blood pressure, which had been low my entire life, was suddenly cured. Still furious, I rage opened all 3 green chests from today's croc hunt. The one good item, a blue synthesis lucky card, guarantees 100% success merging into blue tier materials up to 100 units. The moment I read that, I almost blacked out. Why didn't I open the chests before merging? I howled at the ceiling. If I'd used this card on the stone merge, I would have gotten 100 guaranteed blue stone instead of 40. That was 60 blue stone gone. Equivalent to half a day's salt production, just evaporated because I opened boxes in the wrong order. Buddy ran over and licked my hand, trying to comfort me. The rest of the chest loot? A mud sled blueprint, a kneeling board for moving through swamps. Could be useful at Linda's place. 5 eggs. A phone case for a phone that doesn't exist here. And an anime girl body pillow. A phone case? A body pillow? I was losing it. I posted the items in the elite group chat. Bobby immediately wanted the pillow. Chase said he'd once opened a pair of socks so foul they were practically flammable. I sold the sled blueprints after making a few for myself, ditched the garbage items, and tried to calm down. But every time I looked at that blue lucky card, my chest physically hurt. Tomorrow I would open chests first. Always. Jeff messaged me wanting to buy the anime body pillow. Offered 10 green wood. Way above what a normal pillow was worth. I had no idea what he planned to do with it, and didn't want to know. Sold it instantly. Then the system announcement hit. Leaderboard launching in 2 days. The Fog World would evaluate every survivor's overall strength and publish rankings the morning after tomorrow. Rankings would be based on personal level and rank, shelter level, shelter facilities, garden plants and soil quality, beast kennel contents, weapons, equipment, resources, food. Everything above white quality counted. Top-ranked survivors would receive rewards. But there was a catch. Starting tomorrow morning, beasts would become more aggressive. The fog-free zone around shelters would see significantly more beast intrusions. The announcement ended with a chilling line. Enjoy your last peaceful day. I read the announcement 3 times, analyzing every detail. For the leaderboard, I took stock. Level 4 shelter was impossible in time, but I could improve other areas. My garden had the purple peach tree. That was strong. I needed better soil, though. I'd buy green quality swamp mud from Linda tomorrow. The beast kennel only had 2 unhatched ant eggs. Weak. My weapons included the blue goldback machete. Solid. I could merge my green beast hides into blue and craft blue leather armor. Would Buddy count? Would Daisy count as an asset? I wasn't sure. Hitting level 14 required 400,000 experience. Unlikely by tomorrow based on recent rates. I checked the trade market. Prices had gone insane since the announcement. Green plant seeds, green beast cubs, all skyrocketing. People who couldn't make the leaderboard were selling assets at ridiculous markups. Buying now would be foolish unless the rewards were guaranteed to be amazing. And knowing this game's track record with prizes, they could easily be garbage. I closed the market and studied the beast aggression update instead. I decided to skip the swamp tomorrow and stay near my shelter to see how bad things got. With Buddy and 30 puppets guarding the perimeter, bronze-level beasts shouldn't be a problem. If something gold rank or higher showed up, I'd just run. The world chat was predictably chaotic. Organizations were recruiting hard. One guy planned to craft 10,000 wooden buckets to inflate his resource count. Someone pointed out white-quality items didn't count. A woman was excited about the leaderboard because she could finally identify real, strong players to attach herself to, instead of getting scammed by fakes. And of course, sellers were already price gouging anyone desperate enough to chase a ranking they probably couldn't reach. I climbed into bed. 2 days until the leaderboard. 5 days until the next disaster. And tomorrow, the beasts were coming. I messaged Linda about buying swamp soil. She had 3 buckets of green quality mud. Her small level 2 garden couldn't use much anyway. I offered 3 pounds of peanuts, which was slightly above market rate. She tried to refuse, saying it was too generous. I insisted. We'd been hunting on her turf all day, so consider it fair compensation. She eventually accepted. Our conversation felt different tonight. I couldn't put my finger on it. When I mentioned I might not visit her shelter tomorrow, something shifted in her tone. Subtle, but there. I browsed the elite group chat. It had grown to nearly 200 members. Linda had been recruiting. People were debating whether to join organizations. A guy named Liam had joined Origin and was praising the benefits. Bobby said he preferred a different organization called Genesis, apparently founded by surviving government officials and prominent figures from the real world. Jeff shared interesting intel. Officials from various countries had already met in the Void Realm and tried to reassemble their old power structures, including military chains of command. It failed. Too many people refused to submit to old hierarchies. In this world, the only thing that could bind anyone was a contract, and nobody wanted to sign away their freedom. I realized something. Void Realm identity badges were incredibly valuable now. With beasts getting more aggressive tomorrow, nobody would want to leave their shelter for long. The badge's unlimited entry and 12-hour stay would be a massive advantage. I had 7 units of rain bamboo left. I crafted 7 badges, listed 3 on the market with a negotiation-only price and a 10 greenwood entry fee just to message me. That would filter out time wasters. Then the daily quiz. Everyone knows Guan Yu never killed the elderly or children. So why didn't they just send 100,000 old people and children to kill him? I racked my brain until the last second and submitted, because Guan Yu rode a horse and 100,000 elderly people couldn't catch him. The world chat was a riot of rage and absurd answers. People were begging for the quiz to be canceled entirely. Results came in. 3 winners. Kyle, outpost location detector, purple quality. Logan, spatial backpack, blue quality. Someone with a ridiculous name, won basketball. I won again. Purple quality this time. But an outpost location detector? I had no idea what an outpost was or why I'd need to detect one. It sounded important, or completely useless. I wouldn't know until I checked the details. At least it wasn't rain pants. I shot up in bed when I saw my name on the winners list. Second time winning the quiz. This time, purple quality. The reward was an outpost location detector. Purple tier, special item, detects outpost positions within 50 kilometers. I activated it immediately. A circular radar-like display appeared in front of me, completely blank. No outpost detected. No explanation of what an outpost even was. I stared at it for a while, tried every angle, then gave up. Frustrating to get a purple item and have zero idea what it does. Still, for the leaderboard evaluation, just owning a purple item would boost my score. I tucked it into the spatial bracelet. The world chat was on fire. People were furious that I'd won twice in a few days. Once with a purple prize. Rigged. Insider. No way this is random. Others defended me. Someone tried messaging me privately and discovered my 10 green would chat fee, then complained about that too. One guy asked if changing his name to Kyle would improve his odds. I didn't care. Let them talk. Linda and Mark both congratulated me. Neither had any clue what the detector was for either. Then I got my first inquiry about the Void Realm identity badges. A woman named Claire asked the price. 100 units of blue wood or stone, or ice/fire attribute crystals if you have them. She didn't have crystals. Only 20 blue wood and the rest in green. I refused green. The merge rate was too punishing. She asked me to hold one while she gathered materials with her boyfriend and family. I agreed, but warned her I'd sell to anyone who paid first. Then another buyer messaged, Lance. No haggling. Wanted 2 badges. Within 30 minutes, he'd assembled 100 blue wood and 100 blue stone. Done deal. Turns out Lance was from the Genesis organization. He casually invited me to join. Now I understood why he was so loaded. Organizational backing. I declined politely. He said the door was always open. That was a great night for business. 200 blue tier materials from badge sales alone, plus whatever the salt had brought in. Combined with my merge results, my blue stockpile was growing steadily. By 10 p.m. I was done. I posted all 30 puppets outside the walls on guard duty. Tomorrow the beasts would go berserk. Then I crawled into bed. Buddy had snuck into my room at some point and was already sprawled beside the bed. Within minutes we were both snoring like engines. Out in the living room, poor Daisy stuffed something in her ears and eventually managed to fall asleep despite the noise. I woke at 6 a.m. Daisy already had breakfast ready. The woman was like clockwork. I spread Linda's green quality swamp soil across my garden, checked the ant eggs, still nothing, but the shape seemed slightly different, and waited for 8 o'clock. The harvest was huge today. 25 pounds of wheat and 150 large potatoes, way more than yesterday. Maybe the swamp soil was already helping, or maybe potatoes just yielded better. The peach tree had bloomed and was starting to fruit. I replanted potatoes and wheat immediately. Before heading out, I checked the world chat for reports on the beast aggression update. Mixed results. Some people found a 2-meter black bear outside their door at 8 a.m. sharp. Others saw nothing but rabbits. One guy's area went from having a single lion to a full pride overnight. Someone's brother was trapped, beasts surrounding his shelter, forced to hide in the Void Realm. Then a surprise announcement dropped. Due to an oversight, we are patching the Void Realm entry conditions. You can no longer enter the Void Realm while in combat status. Combat status means any nearby danger. As compensation, 1 bread loaf per survivor. They sealed the escape hatch. Before this, you could flee into the Void Realm whenever a beast attacked. Now that was impossible. This massively increased the danger for everyone. And the compensation? 1 bread. The world chat erupted in fury. 1 bread? Are we beggars? People demanded better compensation, organized protests. Someone called them idiots. This wasn't a video game with customer service. I moved on to crafting. I had 42 green beast pelts. Needed 3 blue pelts for armor, meaning I needed at least 30 green pelts to succeed. At 40% rate, that should yield about 3 blue. I dumped all 30 in at once. Result, 3 blue pelts. All successful. 100% hit rate on a 40% chance. My luck talent was magnificent when it wanted to be. I crafted blue leather armor immediately. Warrior's hide armor, blue quality, made from multiple beast hides. Powerful defense. Effectively blocks attacks from any beast below silver rank. Grants the wearer great courage. Even the name had style now. Blue tier items got proper names instead of just leather armor. I suited up, blue armor, gold back machete, and headed out with Buddy. The second we climbed down from the cliff, 2 wolves were drinking at the waterfall pool. They spotted us and charged without hesitation. Berserk mode was real. With my upgraded gear and Buddy's help, both wolves went down fast. Barely broke a sweat. 50,000 experience and a chest from just 2 wolves right outside my front door. If this was what the beast aggression update looked like, I was going to have a very productive day. The morning hunt went smoothly. 6 wolves and 4 horned dogs. All bronze, no silver rank threats. Easy kills with my upgraded gear. I headed back to the shelter at noon to check on things and eat. The cliff location was proving brilliant. Only one narrow path up, so beasts rarely bothered climbing. Daisy was refining salt with the puppets, everything running fine. I messaged Linda and Mark, but got no replies, probably busy with their own hunts. After a quick lunch, Buddy and I headed out in the opposite direction from the morning. Took down another bronze wolf easily. I could handle these solo now without Buddy's help. We pushed toward a tree line. That's when the ground started shaking. Boom, boom, boom. Each impact hit like an earthquake. The sound came from the fog zone, getting closer. My hair stood on end. Cold sweat poured down my back. Then I saw it. A black figure, 50 meters tall, emerging from the fog. A colossal ape-like creature, each step sending shockwaves through the earth. It swatted full-grown trees aside like weeds. Every beast within kilometers was flattened against the ground, trembling, whimpering. I froze. Completely. My brain just stopped. I'd seen monsters in movies before, but nothing could prepare you for this. My entire understanding of what was possible in this world shattered in that moment. Buddy barked and snapped me out of it. He wasn't affected at all, just pressed against my side, alert and ready. The beast was about 2,000 meters away, closing fast. At its stride length, it would reach me in under 2 minutes. Running was pointless. I'd be a moving target. Fighting was laughable. I did the only thing I could think of. I dropped flat on the ground and played dead. Buddy looked at me like I was insane, then lay down beside me and copied my pose. We must have looked ridiculous, a man and his golden retriever playing dead in tall grass, while a 50-meter monster walked past. I held my breath. The footsteps grew deafening. The ground bucked beneath me like a boat in a storm. Then, mercifully, the creature's path veered left. A few hundred meters difference. Nothing to a beast that size, but the difference between life and death for me. It passed roughly 200 meters away. Close enough that I could read its info. Ancient giant ape. Rank, star, red tier. Level, unknown. Details, unknown. Star rank, red tier. Even the system couldn't display its level. And there were ranks above red. I didn't want to think about that. As it lumbered past, I noticed a massive wound on its back. Something had hurt it. Whatever could injure a creature like that was something I never wanted to meet. Then, as it took one more thunderous step, a single enormous drop of blood fell from the wound. It splashed down inside my shelter's 1,500-meter fog-free zone. I stared at it, still lying flat on the ground, heart hammering. A drop of blood from a star-ranked beast, sitting right in my territory. I lay there for a full hour, not daring to twitch. Only when the footsteps faded to nothing did I peel myself off the ground. My clothes were soaked through with cold sweat. Buddy stood up beside me, wagging his tail like nothing had happened. That dog has nerves of steel. Then Buddy grabbed my pant leg and started pulling. He wanted me to follow him. He took off running. I chased after him for a few hundred meters until he stopped. A pool of blood, about 1 meter wide, 1 meter deep. The drop that fell from the giant ape's wound. Buddy was already lapping it up greedily. Steam rose off his entire body, like the blood was pumping raw energy into him. He finished, looked at me, and nudged his head toward the pool. Your turn. I checked the info first. Ancient giant ape blood. Contains immense energy from a star-rank beast. Warning, energy is dissipating rapidly. Store immediately. I didn't need to be told twice. I activated my spatial bracelet and sucked up every drop of blood, then dug out all the blood-soaked dirt underneath. Whatever had seeped deeper underground was lost, but I got the majority. Then I had an idea. The blood scent was still hanging in the air. If I could smell it, so could every beast in the area. Sure enough, within minutes, several wolves crept toward the spot, eyes gleaming with hunger. High-tier blood was irresistible to low-level beasts. Better than any lure incense. I hid nearby and waited. 3 wolves arrived, level 10, 10, and 12. Buddy and I ambushed them. Effortless kills. I cleaned up, hit again, and repeated. All afternoon, beasts kept coming to the blood spot. By 5:30 p.m., I'd killed 20 more. including a level 18 horn dog that gave me roughly 100,000 experience alone. With Buddy's help, even that was manageable. Daily total, 30 beasts killed. 10 in the morning, 20 in the afternoon. 835,000 experience. Level 14 achieved, with 435,000 toward level 15. Loot. 9 green chests, 1 blue chest, 30 pelts, 93 green quality meats, mountains of bones and teeth. The blue chest came from the level 18 horn dog. Chest drop rate was about 1 in 3 today. Excellent. The spatial bracelet was a lifesaver for storage. Without it, I'd have needed a warehouse for all this meat. Daisy produced 380 units of salt today. Between hunting and salt production, this was my best day yet. Survivor count, 35.3 billion. Only 50 million fewer than yesterday. The beast aggression update hadn't caused the mass casualties I'd expected. Maybe that was just day 1 being gentle. I listed all the salt for sale, but held on to the green meats. Closer to the disaster, 4 days away, food prices would spike. No point selling cheap now. I skipped opening the chests for once. Something more important demanded my attention, the ancient giant ape blood sitting in my spatial bracelet. Star rank beast blood, full of unknown energy. I needed to figure out how to use it before that energy faded completely. I couldn't resist. I dipped my finger into a tiny amount of the ancient giant ape blood and touched it to my tongue. The effect was instant and violent. A surge of pure, raw energy exploded through my body like molten lava in my veins. Every muscle, every bone, every cell felt like it was being supercharged. It was exhilarating and terrifying at the same time. Just that tiny taste made my whole body burn with heat. If I'd drunk a full bowl, I'd probably have exploded. Literally. Then I panicked. Buddy had lapped up way more than that at the blood pool. I rushed over to him. He was lying motionless on the floor. I shook him frantically. He opened one eye, gave me the most annoyed look possible, moved to a different spot, and went back to sleep. Completely fine. How? No idea. That dog's constitution was something else. The heat from my taste took a full hour of pacing around the shelter to wear off. When it finally faded, I could feel the difference. I was stronger, tougher. I grabbed a piece of green tier wood and snapped it in half with my bare hands. That wasn't possible yesterday. Then I remembered something from the novels I used to read, bathing in beast blood to temper the body. I'd gotten a wooden bathtub blueprint ages ago. Now was the time. I built the tub, had Daisy boil hot water, and set everything up in my bedroom. I started with 1 drop of blood in the bath. Mild tingling, some heat, manageable. I added 2 more drops. The stinging intensified. Then 5 drops total. 5 drops turned the bath into a furnace. My whole body screamed. I bit down hard, muscles locked, sweat pouring off me. It felt like my skin was being dissolved and rebuilt simultaneously. I held on for a full hour before the pain finally subsided. When I stood up, I felt completely reborn. Every ounce of fatigue from a full day of fighting had vanished. I was brimming with energy and power, like I could take on 10 beasts at once. I decided to make this a nightly ritual. I didn't waste the bathwater either, poured it over the garden. Even spent blood might add nutrients to the soil. Then I buried the blood-soaked dirt from the pool around the peach tree's roots. A thought struck me. Could the blood help hatch the ant eggs? I rushed to the kennel and dripped a needlepoint amount onto the soil covering the eggs. The dirt absorbed it instantly. I didn't dare use more. Too much energy might destroy them. I'd missed tonight's quiz, but I didn't care. Yesterday's win was enough. Salt sales came in. All 380 units sold at 7 green materials each, prices rising. That was 2,660 green wood. I didn't merge it yet. Better to stockpile and do one big batch later. Tomorrow morning, leaderboard reveal. Every survivor in the fog world would finally see where they stood. I lay in bed, buzzing with anticipation. I woke at 6 a.m., too wired to sleep. Leaderboard day. Everyone in the fog world was up early, waiting. Buddy was still snoring like a chainsaw. Whatever that giant ape blood did to him, it made him sleep like the dead. I lit a cigarette and scrolled the world chat to kill time. The hot topic was obvious. Who would be number 1? The 2 biggest organizations, Genesis led by someone named Ethan and Origin led by Mark, the electric car and rocket guy, had their supporters arguing fiercely. Most people from our country were backing Ethan. Others insisted Mark's head start and talent pool would win out. A few people predicted a dark horse nobody had heard of. I wondered if the giant ape blood would boost my ranking. It had no listed quality tier, but it came from a star-ranked beast that corresponded to red/black tier, the highest possible. Even a small amount had made me significantly stronger. That had to count for something. I visited the Void Realm to pass time. The plaza was packed at dawn. Nobody could sleep. Organizations had set up recruitment tables. Some people were literally begging with empty buckets on the ground. Then a grimy middle-aged man tapped my shoulder and tried to sell me kung fu manuals, golden leg technique, Buddha's palm strike. I stared at him. You think I haven't seen that movie? But he had a military combat manual that was actually practical. I haggled him down to 5 green wood. Good for post-bloodbath exercise routines. Back at the shelter. 7:59, 8 o'clock. After one day of evaluation, the leaderboard is ready. It will appear in the sky in 5 minutes. Rewards. Top 100,000 got prizes. Top 10,000 earned the title, Fog World is my home. Top 1,000 got, Fog World Pioneer. Top 100, Fog Terminator. Top 10, Who Dares Challenge. Everyone else got a consolation green chest. I grabbed a chair, a bag of peanuts, and sat in my yard watching the sky. Golden countdown numbers appeared overhead, massive, visible from everywhere. The scale was breathtaking. The countdown ended. Golden text materialized across the sky. 1 Ethan. Bronze rank. Level 3 shelter. The world chat detonated. Genesis supporters went wild, celebrating, recruiting. Critics called him a figurehead propped up by organizational resources, a flower vase. Mark's followers couldn't believe their leader wasn't first. 1 minute later, 2 Mark. Bronze rank. Level 3 shelter. The Genesis and Origin factions immediately started tearing each other apart in the world chat. Insults flying in every direction. Chaos. I sat in my chair, eating peanuts, watching the golden letters in the sky, waiting for the next name. The world chat was going crazy debating the first 3 spots. All organization leaders. I started wondering if solo players even had a chance at the top 1,000. Then the golden text shifted again. 3. Augustine. Bronze rank. Level 3 shelter. Leader of the Fog Breaker organization. Smaller than Genesis and Origin, but still significant. He immediately posted a recruitment ad in the world chat. People mocked him. Others defended him. The usual circus. I sat there eating peanuts, nervous. The top 3 were all backed by massive organizations with pooled resources. Maybe individual players like me just couldn't compete. 1 minute passed. New golden letters blazed across the sky. 4 Kyle. Bronze rank. Level 3 shelter. I shot out of my chair so fast it tipped over. 4th, Buddy started running circles around me, tail going crazy. Daisy had come outside at some point and was staring at the sky with her mouth open. When she realized her employer was the 4th strongest person in the entire fog world, tears streamed down her face. She'd gambled right when she signed that contract with me. I stood there grinning like an idiot at my own name burning in gold across the heavens. The giant ape blood must have counted. Nothing else explained how a solo player beat out every organization except the top 3. Linda and Mark messaged immediately, demanding confirmation. When I said yes, they were speechless. Linda apparently started considering leaving the squad because she felt she'd be holding me back. I'd have to talk her out of that. The elite group chat exploded. I'm in the same group as the number 4 player. Save me a leg hair to cling to. The world chat was even wilder. Who is Kyle? Never heard of him. A solo player at number 4? Some organizations should be embarrassed. My inbox probably hit 999, but I didn't check. 5 Lucy. A female solo player. No organization. That impressed me. She was either incredibly skilled or incredibly lucky. 6 Maxwell. Another solo player. The organizations were getting roasted in the world chat now. 3 of the top 6 were independents. 7. A name so long it filled half the sky. Some African tribal name with about 40 syllables. Everyone thought it was a glitch. Someone in the chat explained it was a real name from an African hunter tribe. Made perfect sense. A guy who'd grown up hunting wild animals in the real world would feel right at home in the fog world. I sat back down, still buzzing. 4th place. Out of 35 billion survivors. Not bad for a delivery driver. The remaining top 10 rolled out across the sky. 8. Lucas from the Dawn Organization. 9. Victor from the Sunset Organization. 10. Nathan, another solo player like me. Only 3 of the top 10 were organization leaders. The rest were independents. That felt good. The announcement ended. Only the top 10 got displayed in the sky. Everyone else had to check the data panel. My inbox instantly hit 99. Congratulations, recruitment offers, women volunteering to destroy their living soil and move into my shelter. Both Ethan from Genesis and Mark from Origin added me personally, offering me the number 2 position in their organizations. I turned them all down. They took it gracefully, smart enough not to burn bridges with the world's 4th-ranked player. I set my messages to reject strangers. Otherwise, my inbox would look like the world chat. Linda ranked around 10,000th. Mark hit 783rd, just inside the top 1,000. Linda worried I'd want to leave the squad because of the gap. I told her that was ridiculous. Mark joked we were one god carrying 2 pigs. I invited them both over tonight for a celebration dinner with drinks. Then the rewards arrived. Gold treasure chest X1. And the title, Who Dares Challenge, permanently adds 10% to all experience gained. Auto-active, hideable. The title was incredible. 10% meant every wolf kill went from 25,000 to 27,500 experience. Kill 10, get 1 free. Over weeks of grinding, that would compound massively. I tested it in the squad chat. My name now glowed in gold text with the title displayed. Linda sent back question marks. Mark begged to see what was in the chest. But I wasn't opening it yet. Not like this. I told Daisy to boil water. I bathed. Thoroughly. Scrubbed every inch. Put on my black suit, shined my leather shoes, combed my hair. Then I stood before the golden chest like I was attending a ceremony. Spirits above, spirits below, please no garbage. Thank you to every god, every ancestor, every giant ape, and the fog world itself. Daisy stood nearby watching, then playfully added sound effects. Ding, golden legendary. Buddy was running circles around the chest, tail going wild. I took a breath, opened it. Blinding golden light filled the room. Golden light blinded me. For items, void wings, gold quality. A mysterious pair of black wings that grant flight, hover capability, and can fire light spears at enemies. Full power unlocks at platinum rank. Flight costs 10 energy crystals per hour. Attacks cost at least 1 crystal per use, no upper limit. Fog Dispel necklace, purple quality. Clears fog in a 150-meter radius around the wearer. When hit with a lethal attack, automatically teleports you 200 meters away. 24-hour cooldown. An air conditioning outdoor unit. No indoor unit. No electricity. No generator. Completely, utterly useless. Basic resource selection box, blue quality. Choose 200 units of blue tier wood, stone, or iron ore. I stared at the AC unit for a solid minute before erupting. A gold chest, and you give me half an air conditioner. Buddy started barking at it. Even Daisy looked disappointed. But the void wings, those changed everything. I loaded energy crystals, mentally said, equip, and black wings materialized on my back. They were stunning. Dark feathers that shimmered with mysterious light, hard as armor, radiating power. Against my black suit, I looked like a fallen angel. Daisy's eyes went wide with stars. Buddy jumped around barking with excitement. Launch. I lifted off the ground. The wings beat slowly but powerfully. No wind disturbance at all. Some kind of void energy propulsion. Maximum altitude, about 30 meters, roughly treetop level. Speed, around 70 kilometers per hour. Not blazing fast, but more than enough. At my current strength, going faster would make breathing impossible anyway. I'd test the attack function on beasts later. For now, I took some photos, obviously, then landed and stored the wings. The strategic value was enormous. Flightmen escape from almost anything ground-based. Combined with the Fog Dispel necklace's emergency teleportation, killing me had just become extremely difficult. For the first time since arriving in this world, I felt genuinely safe. The necklace also meant I could explore the fog zone freely, 150 meters of cleared fog around me at all times, plus 1 emergency teleport per day. My world just got much, much bigger. For the resource box, I checked market prices and chose 200 blue-tier iron ore. Iron was versatile and increasingly expensive. I could always trade it for wood or stone later at favorable rates. Total haul from 1 gold chest, flight capability, fog exploration access, emergency teleportation, and 200 blue iron. Plus a useless AC unit that I'd probably throw at the next beast that annoyed me. Best chest I'd ever opened. Not even close.